Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the What's Going Down podcast. I am, of course, your host, Big Time Jimmy Larson, and with me, of course, is my co-host who is here every week, Mr. CT Bishop. How you doing today?
Feeling better, brother. Feeling better. You
Yeah,
know.
last week we had a bit of an issue. Do you want to explain to our listeners what had happened?
Well, plain and simple. I got really, really sick. I got really, really sick. Had to go to the
But not
hospital.
COVID.
No, it's not COVID. It's not COVID. I'm negative. I had to go. Hey, and John says, "What's up, guys?" No, yeah. Yeah, I got really sick. I had to go to the hospital. I mean, without giving graphic details, I was in and out of the bathroom. Uh, it was really, really bad. It was really bad, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was something I ate. I don't know if it could be. I really don't know. But facts are is that I just got really, really sick, and then uh, my phone actually it was funny because I was in the hospital and I was getting ready. I was getting ready to text big time and my phone goes off and I forgot my charger because obviously, I'm not gonna remember that while I'm worried as heck. Why am I sick? And it was really a really freaky situation because because of the whole COVID situation. They had put me in isolation. They had to. I mean, it was basically everybody. They were basically in hazmat suits. You know what I mean? Everybody's wearing masks. Everybody's with the full gowns, and it was like a full blown hazmat suit. And I'm freaking out my damn self because I'm like, oh shoot, do I have it? Do I have it? I'm freaking out. Now I haven't been around anybody because I don't go anywhere. I don't go anywhere. And I'm like, how did I get it? If I got it, and so they did the test. They did the one of the fast tests that they have, and about an hour or two later, I got the results that it wasn't COVID, and it was some kind of like stomach bug, or that's what they said. So they gave me a lot of antibiotics. They gave me a lot of fluids. Obviously, they gave me a lot of fluids, and it was a real scary situation. Because I'm already dealing with enough stuff as it is. I'm already dealing with enough health issues as it is. And I'm seeing all these specialists to get all this stuff situated, and to have this happen, and it was just like I was just freaking out. I was freaking out. I was freaking out. But thank goodness, thank God Almighty that it wasn't COVID, and but still, it sucks getting sick. It sucks, like that happening to you. So, and I tell you for like the entire week, the entire like because like for 2 or 3 days straight, I couldn't eat anything because uh it wouldn't stay down, and so I'm taking I'm drinking a lot of Gatorade and Powerade to raise my electrolytes, right, as well as I'm drinking Ensure and stuff like that, just to get some kind of nutrients in me because that was the only thing that was able to stay down along with the Gatorade, and it
Yeah, I
wasn't.
was freaking out because I hadn't heard from you in 48 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like panicking, like, "Oh my god, is he okay? What's going on?" And then some of our mutual people were even like, "Oh my god, I was about to put an APB on."
Yeah, I saw the post.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like freaking out. I'm like telling everybody, I'm like, I'm supposed to be going live right now on the air, and
Mhm.
Bishop's missing, man. I don't know where he is. He's AWOL, and I'm like, it's not like him. So I'm like, I hope he's okay. And the show didn't matter at that point. The show was Jeopardy, and I was just like, that doesn't matter. I just want to make sure he's all right,
Yeah,
because it was a panic. I know you were going panic your own. I was panicking
yeah.
too.
No, no, and it was crazy because alongside you and our mutual friends, my cousins and other family members, right? They're it's the same thing. I'm in contact with them. I'm in contact with them, and then my mom called them. My mom called them, and she's, oh no, he's, So as soon as I get back, they're like, "Hey, are you okay, cuz? Are you all right? Are you all right? Yeah, yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'll be okay." And it was just I mean, I'm one of these people that I go with the flow. I go with the flow, and um so if I was sick, I was sick, and if I did have COVID, I'll do what I got to do to overcome it, you know, to overcome it, but I was more I was more worried about my parents, because I live with my folks, and what if I did have it, you know, and you have to be in isolation and everything for a long time, so it's like I would have asked like my brother or somebody to pay for a motel room for me so I can be isolated, because I wouldn't want to be isolated in the same house as my parents, and so everything was just going through my mind. Everything was going through my mind of what the hell am I gonna do? How, if I do have it, how, I like, because I don't have money, and none of us are rich. You know what I'm saying? None of us are rich, so it's not like I can. Yeah, I see you. I see you. You wrote in the chat, Jimmy. No, but it's like,
Okay, yeah, but no, I'm like, hey, I see the chat for once.
right. But yeah, no. So it's like, none of us are rich. We don't have money like that. So it's like, how, what am I gonna do? And the crazy thing is, like, I'm thinking about all of the different options that I have, which is really none. And I'm like, well, you know what? Worst comes to worst. Worst comes to worst. I'll just set up my tent in the backyard. You know, I'll set up my tent in the backyard, and that's it. I'll live in the tent for what, 2 3 weeks. But thankfully I'm good. It was just a stomach bug, and even though I didn't have COVID or anything, but I stayed in my room for 2 or 3 days. Like I said, drinking Gatorade, Powerade, Ensure, all of that. I had everything in my cooler. So finally, I want to say it was Wednesday when I was finally able to really eat something solid. Like Tuesday, I started eating soup. Like chicken noodle soup. But like the Limpton. The that you just gotta add water, and drinking chicken broth, beef broth, that sort of thing. And Wednesday I finally ate something solid, and it was scrambled eggs, but it's still something solid, and I was able to keep it down. So I'm just glad that all of that is over. It's just it was too scary of a situation. Like I said, I'm already dealing with enough health issues that something else, I'm already gonna be freaking out automatically.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, we're glad that you're okay and that you're back, and we're ready to get into some good discussion today.
Definitely.
But before that, tell the people, where else can they find you?
All right, wait. The way you can find me, and I'm gonna say it right now. Everything is in the description below. Everything is in the description box below, where you can find me. First, you can find me as Sway Skits. I changed the name from Host Sway Skits to Sway Skits, and that
Well,
link,
don't sway me, bro.
and that link is in the description box below, as well as you can. easily find me on Tuesday Night Tussle. Tuesday Night Tussle, that is where I take a bunch of fights, I add commentary to it, and I show people why they are stupid for recording their fights and putting it online. And yeah, I had some issues with YouTube on Tuesday Night Tussle, but we can talk about that in a minute.
I think that they do it not to get too far off topic, but I think they
Mhm.
do it because they all want to be stars of the world as they yell out, as you know what I'm talking about, without plugging them.
um,
Apparently, you don't know.
no,
Okay.
no, no, no. I'm sorry. Somebody texted me real quick. No, and
Oh,
the thing is that they 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 freaking put a violation, not a strike, a violation, and they removed the video because supposedly it contained something or whatever. So and it's happened so many times, and I'm just gonna fight them every time. I'm letting them know. I'm letting them know that this channel is a satire show of people being stupid recording their fights, and I add commentary, and I even say how stupid they are for recording their fights. And I let them know what the whole channel is about, and I have to do it every time they do that with the video. And like the recent one that I did before New Year's, that one was stricken because it had a baby, and the baby wasn't fighting, but it just shows up in there, and I'm like, look, uh, yeah, it's a satire thing, whatever. But at the same time, if people know who these people are and they're putting this child in danger, then they can report these people to the proper authorities. So I'm just telling them, hey, look, you can't keep giving me strikes over a satire comedy show thing, showing how people are just being stupid. It's one of those things. You gotta set them straight.
yeah, in some of those previous episodes in the archives, you can hear my commentary over a few of those videos.
Oh yeah, the skits, the skits that we did is too funny, man. So
Well, not just the skits. I added commentary to some of the fights too.
oh yeah, no, everything we did together in that in the previous seasons, it was just fun. It was
And we
fun.
may have me making a return eventually, but my schedule's pretty freaking hectic. So,
No, but it's really no, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And also if you're on Twitter, you can see me on Twitter. Okay.
and okay, you're not gonna tell them where though.
Oh, no, everything is in the description box below. If you're on Twitter, you got Twitter. I'm at Rev Mercado, at REVMERCADO, and
Yeah, nah.
you can see when I post for the show. You can see when I post for Sway Skits. You can see when I post any funny memes. And if you want to contact me there, hey, do whatever. You,
And you've jumped ahead of the format a bit. It's fine.
we've been away for a week. Okay, forgive me.
But anyway, if you want to see me, you can also check out in the description below the Big Time Jimmy Larson channel, where you can check out my shows. At the Arcade currently only has one episode. The show is currently being revamped with a new intro, lots of new stuff coming there. You can also check out my main show, At the Movies. At the Movies has finished season one. It was a great 19 episode season, and you can check them all out in the archives. Season two will begin coming very shortly in a few weeks. We'll have more on that as time goes on.
Mhm.
But the show will be revamped as well. Brand new introduction, a brand new original song created by one of the viewers and myself. But yeah, we're going to have a new intro, new song, new logo. Lots of new stuff coming for season two. And again, that will be coming in February, and we'll talk about that more in the coming weeks. I was going to say where you can contact us next, but CT Bishop already covered that. So,
I did not say the email.
okay, well, then go ahead and say
All
the
right.
email.
All right. Well, other than what's going, I mean, so, or other than Twitter, if you want to email us at what's going down today at gmail.com. If you see the email, it's right in the thumbnail that you see on the screen. It's whatsgoingdowntoday@gmail.com. Also, if you have Discord and you want to join our Discord server, um, where you can shoot out ideas, or if you just want to say hi and shoot the breeze or whatever, the link, the invite to the Discord server is down below as well. And I check that on a daily basis, so you feel free to write at any time, say anything you want to say. I might go live on the Discord server just to shoot the breeze as well. And we also got Facebook. That's right. I forgot about that one. We got Facebook, man. We got a Facebook page. We got a Facebook page. That is down below. That's and I'm gonna be doing it. We're gonna be doing a lot more with the Facebook page as well. But I check that on a daily basis as well. So if you want to contact us there, please feel free. Um, we're gonna be doing a lot of cool stuff with the Facebook stuff. Doing some lives on Facebook. Whether it's me or Big Time or the both of us or whatever. You know, uh, Feel free to check out the Facebook, because you can contact us there. As well. So it's just you know check it out, check everything out. And just feel free to contact us at any time for if you just want to say hi, if you have any ideas, if you want to go out on a date with Big Time Jimmy Larson. It all works out.
And on that note, so we had a little bit of a change to plans due to last week being canceled, postponed.
Hmm?
Last week was supposed to be part one of our Rumble show, and this week was scheduled to be part two. It's now changed. Part one will be tonight. Part two will come your way next week here on the podcast. So without any further ado, let's begin this long discussion for part one, where we will discuss 1988 through 2005. The Royal Rumble was created by Pat Patterson. It was an idea on a take on the Battle Royal, which, as you know, or you should know, my favorite match type is a Battle Royal. So you can be darn tootin' that I love the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble has become my favorite match type. It's become my favorite pay-per-view of the year, and it's the one match a year I actually look forward to. That being said, I'm going to add something that I just learned today, and I'm not happy about it.
Hmm.
I've, for the first time since 1991, will not see the Royal Rumble live.
What?
I have to work, and I am
Oh.
not happy. I seen the schedule and I said I didn't bother requesting it off, and I figured, oh, they're not going to put me on, and they put me on. So I'm like, no, that's not right. I can't watch the Royal Rumble live. And I'm doing my pool again this year, which I still have spots left. There are 10 spots left,
Mhm.
but I don't know what's going to happen with that either. But no, now I can't watch the event live. I got to wait till I get home at 7 in the morning before I can actually watch the Rumble match at least.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm not pleased about it, but
I don't blame you, bro. I don't blame you.
I got to try and avoid spoilers all night too, which is going to be not an easy task.
You're just gonna have to turn off your phone.
Yeah, I know, but in the middle of the night when I'm working, that going on Facebook and everything else is what helps keep me awake on my breaks and
Yeah.
everything. So
You're gonna if anything, you're gonna have to avoid the group, thread.
everything,
Right,
because
yeah.
it's going to be all over my news feed. Even
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's not going to be an easy night. It's going to be a difficult night. But anyway, so Pat Patterson came up with the idea for the concept of a battle royal where they would start off with two guys in the ring instead of all 20,
Hmm.
and that every 2 minutes another guy would enter, and you didn't know who was coming in next. And then guys could get eliminated all through the match, and then when all 20 enter, whoever's the last man in wins the match.
Hmm.
It's a great idea, great concept. Vince McMahon did not think so.
Nope.
He called it stupid. I was quoted. He called it a stupid idea. And then they WWE, we're going to give a quick run on this. We already said we're going to explain this more eventually in a Clash of Champions episode. I promise that it will be coming eventually. We just don't know when yet.
Mhm.
But basically, what happened was WCW and WWE were at a bitter war, and in '87, at on Thanksgiving night, WCW was going to be running the Starrcade event
Mhm.
on pay per view. Vince McMahon, who had just come off the successful WrestleMania 3 in '87, basically told the pay per view companies, I don't want you to air Starrcade. And in return, I'll give you a show. And so they created the Survivor Series.
Mhm.
Survivor Series was a spite show. Uh, for all of you Curb Your Enthusiasm fans out there, you know what I'm talking about there, about a spite show. But I'm not even sure if you know what I'm talking about.
I don't see that show.
Okay, well, Curb Your Enthusiasm, basically Larry David gets in a war with a coffee house, and he gets so angry at them, he decides to use his money to buy the lot next door and build a coffee house
Ah, gotcha.
just to put the other coffee house out of business.
Gotcha.
And he calls it a spite store. And then as the season goes on, we start seeing like other businesses copying his suit, doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like Mila Kunis opens up a spite cell phone store to put out another cell phone store out of business.
Yeah.
Everything. It gets really crazy. And I have a few of them I see around town myself that I wonder, are they spite stores? When I see like there's a appliance store that's been here for 30 years and now all of a sudden one just opened up across the street. So I
I've seen
wonder,
that.
is that a spite store?
I've seen that. I've seen that in the church community where there's like this one church, and then somebody is pissed off because they didn't get a
Language, bro.
sorry. Somebody is ticked off because because the pastor of the church didn't give this person a specific position or something, and then they'll go across the street and they'll buy a storefront and open a church there, calling it like the better church or something, like some kind of name that is a parody of the one they just left, but trying to say that it's better. And then
Mm-hmm.
in Hartford alone, in Hartford, Connecticut alone, and I'll tell you on Broad Street and many other streets, but mainly Broad Street, you have you literally have churches like right next to each other, right on top of each other, and this one plaza, every storefront is a different church.
Well, it's like here we have 6 churches on one street to the point where they've actually named the street. It's called Church Street
Yeah,
because it's where all the churches are.
yeah.
They're all in one place. They're easy to find, and they're all right next to each other. But yeah, so despite
No,
Vince
yeah.
McMahon created the Survivor Series,
Yeah.
and they aired it on Thanksgiving night. The pay-per-view companies were going to do it because Vince even threatened them. If you air Starrcade and not Survivor Series, I won't let you air WrestleMania 4.
Mhm.
And with the success of WrestleMania 3, that was a huge problem. Had they seen what WrestleMania 4 was going to become, I don't think they would have minded as much. But that's another story too. So yeah, they had the Survivor Series as spite. So WCW's head booker Dusty Rhodes decided, you know what, we're gonna get back at him now, and we're gonna get him back. So they ended up creating the Clash of Champions, which would run head to head all the time with WrestleMania, starting with WrestleMania 4.
Yep.
The reason for that though was because there was another issue, one that took place in January, and in January. The NWA was going to be running some other show. I forgot what show it was, but they were doing another show, and WWE wanted to go head to head with them. So the NBC network came up with the idea to run a show, and they needed a concept for the show, and Vince didn't have one. So Vince looked over at Pat Patterson and said, "Hey, why don't you tell him your stupid idea for the Royal Rumble?" Which they didn't have the name Royal Rumble at the time, but Pat was like, "Oh, it's not a stupid idea." And again, the late Pat Patterson, we talked about Pat recently, just passed away a few weeks back. But Pat basically told the head of NBC, Dick Ebersol, he told him the idea, and Dick loved the idea. He said, "That's brilliant. Why aren't we doing this? Let's do this." And so they created the Royal Rumble in 1988. And it was not a pay per view, it was going to air live on the USA Network. And at the time, it was 20 men because that's what the average Battle Royal was 20 men. But Vince still didn't focus on the Royal Rumble match. He still did not have faith in that match, which we're going to discuss. We're going to go over the highlights, and basically I have a whole format here that I'm looking at of notes that I made for each show that we could talk about. And if you want to add to them, just jump in whenever you want to add to it. Other than that, I'm just going to keep going down my line. Okay.
Yep. Go right ahead, brother.
All right. So first of all, we're going to mention that, and this is for a reason. I've wrote down the commentary teams for each Rumble for a reason. But the commentary team on this night was Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura. The reason I wrote down these commentary teams is because there's a kind of a crazy concept here. From 1988 till 1999, the commentary team was never consistent for the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And only one team in that time frame had ever done the Rumble more than once. It's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah.
There was always a different combination of the team until the year 2000, where it became the constant for a little while, which again, we'll get more into that. But so this team here was Vince McMahon himself and Jesse Ventura doing the commentary. And one of the big deals they were going to have was, because WrestleMania 3, the big main event, of course, was Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. And they teased a rematch at Survivor Series. And now they had booked a rematch coming up at the main event, which was going to be a spinoff of Saturday night's main event, but it was going to air on a Friday night, and it was going to debut in February.
Yeah.
So to promote this at the Royal Rumble, they came up with a contract signing between Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan.
They're calling They're calling. They wanted to sign me up to the contract. Hold on.
Yeah, they're going to sign up the contract right there for CT Bishop to go into the ring with Hulk Hogan, since Andre the Giant is no longer around. And I think that at this point in his life, CT Bishop may be able to take Hogan in a match. But there's the team is still out doing research on that one, though. However, So they set up this contract signing between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, and there was nothing really to note here except that Andre and Hogan had gotten in a fight with a table, which they didn't even break. Anything to add on that?
No, not really, brother.
A lot of people may remember Canadian strongman Dino Bravo. And there was actually a Dark Side of Ring episode about him last season, which Dark Side of Ring, by the way, season 2 was announced formally this week. The first episode's going to be about Brian Pillman, but we'll talk more on that in another episode. Mm-hmm. So I know I get thrown off track, bro. It happens. But yeah, on this show, Dino Bravo became that moniker of the Canadian strongman, as he was going to lift some heavy weights, and Jesse Ventura was going to spot him, and the controversy on it was that Jesse actually helped him lift the barbell and didn't just spot him. But it was cool the way they did that. I thought it was nicely set up, and sadly nobody even remembers this incident happened.
Yeah, you would think they'll be more worried about Jesse teabagging.
Oh God. Jesse the teabag Ventura, but anyway. Oh boy. So there was a tag team match at the Survivor Series with women's tag team wrestling, and it was amazing. And anybody who has not seen Survivor Series 87, we talked about Survivor Series on the Survivor Series show. 87 was such an amazing show. I put it on my top list as the entire show. And I made mention of the women's match, particularly the two standouts of the match, the Jumping Bomb Angels. Well, obviously somebody agreed and they decided to book them again. So here we have a tag team match, women's tag team match, because yes, there were women's tag team titles in the 80s. Bailey and Sasha, not the first champions. Stop lying. Okay. So the Jumping Bomb Angels were going after the tag team champions of the Glamour Girls, aka Judy Martin and why can't I remember her partner now? I feel bad. I can't remember her name right now. Who was her partner?
But I'm looking at
Lilani Kai. Thank
Leilani
you.
Kai.
I figured
Yeah.
it out. Lilani Kai, by the way, was at WrestleMania 1 defending her women's title against Wendy Richter, and Wendy beat her. So they're managed by Jimmy Hart, and they're going up against the Jumping Bomb Angels, and this match is phenomenal. I swear, everything the Jumping Bomb Angels did in those two matches, apparently they had three matches, by the way. I guess they fought on the Superstars or something. But they really, I hate that they went away so fast. I think that Vince really had something with the women's division at that point, and he just let it go away. He didn't do anything with it. And it's really a shame because you look at how like the revolution of women's wrestling happened recently and it's become such a big deal. I think they had the talent to do it right then and there if they had pulled the trigger on it, you know?
I agree, man. I agree. They should have.
But a lot of people don't even remember it. It's pretty sad, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, they ended up strapping the rocket to the back of Rockin' Robin at one point too. And no offense to her, but Rockin' Robin was not a great wrestler.
No, no, and and here's the dogs. They're agreeing with you. No, no, it's true. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I give credit, and I always say this, and I will continue to say it when it comes to women's wrestling, especially back in those pioneer days, in the '80s, for TV. I mean, the ladies, they did so much, but Rockin' Robin, it was, she could have been better. She could have been better. I don't know if it was because she didn't have a strong move set, or I don't know, but you know, they could have. She either could have done better or they could have picked somebody else
Well,
that
they're going
would
to be
have.
talking about her on Dark Side of Ring this. I know I'm bringing it up again, but yeah, Dark Side of Ring this season is doing a whole episode about the Smith family, and they're going to be talking about Rockin' Robin and Sam Houston and Jake Roberts
Hmm.
and Grizzly Smith,
Okay.
because Rockin' Robin and Sam Houston are brothers and sisters with Jake Roberts.
Yep.
So
I knew that.
that's going to be interesting. Maybe they'll tell some of why Rockin' Robin was the way she was. I know that Rockin' Robin ended up at one point. They even put her in the ring at WrestleMania 5, but it wasn't to wrestle. It was to sing the America the Beautiful,
Yeah.
which she botched at first, and then they had to redo it. But
One thing that I would like to cover in a podcast, and I'm gonna say it quick, is why all of a sudden they changed it from singing the national anthem to just to America the Beautiful. That's I
well, they
want to.
never did the national anthem. I
They
don't think
they've done it a lot of
WrestleMania 1.
times.
I think that was the only one.
They've done a few pay-per-views, and all of
Oh
a
well,
sudden,
after post 9/11, yeah, they did a few with Lillian Garcia.
even before, but still, it's anyway.
I don't
So
remember it before. WrestleMania 1, I remember they did. But after that, from 2 on, because 2 was Ray Charles and 3 was Aretha
yeah.
Franklin, 4 was Gladys Knight, 5 was Rockin' Robin. The six was actually the Canadian national anthem. They didn't even do America. They had Robert Goulet do
Oh,
the Canadian national anthem.
Canada. Sorry.
But yeah, 7 was Willie Nelson. 8 we could go down the line, but they all did America the Beautiful.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up to see what's going
I
on.
know my stuff when it comes to this, but so anyway, moving on. Yeah, this was a great match. But then we get to the first Royal Rumble match, which it
Mm.
wasn't even the main event. There were other matches we're not going to cover, but there were matches that came after the Rumble match because again, Vince
Mhm.
didn't really have any faith in this match.
Exactly.
This Rumble was only 20 men, and it was every 2-minute intervals that we would get another guy. And right here off the bat, on the first one, they messed it up later on. Like Nikolai Volkov came out early for his cue, and they made him wait outside to get in.
Hmm.
So they were really trying to showcase right off the bat to the audience, no, you have to wait your turn. But number one, people have this wrong. WWE promotes that number one was Tito Santana.
Actually,
And they always said that.
on their Wikipedia, it's changed the order that they used to say.
Well, WWE, I have this thing where they were talking about the history of the Royal Rumble, and they even have an interview with Tito,
Mhm.
and they talk about that he was the first guy in, and he was like, yeah, I was the innovator of WrestleMania in the first match, and then I was the first entrant of the first Royal Rumble.
Mhm.
Now, he was in the ring because there's no entrances for this Rumble.
Exactly.
They started off with the two guys already in the ring.
Mhm.
And number one, though, however, they announced was Bret Hart.
Yep.
they said the number one entrant, Bret Hitman Hart. And it's right there. So he was number one. Number two was Tito Santana.
Yep.
So he was not the first man, unless he may have been the first man in the ring, though, because again, we didn't see their entrances. Maybe number two entered first. I don't know. Doubtful. So yeah, and the Junkyard Dog, he ended up drawing number 20, which I screwed up in my notes here. I'm going to give away my mistake here. I put number 30, but there was no number 30. So, no, this Rumble had some questionable eliminations. I think that's the nice way to put that. Yeah. Particularly to Rock Don Morocco, who is one of the funniest eliminations in Royal Rumble history, no less, as he goes over the top and lands on his butt sitting down on the apron and then just slides off. Yep. And he hesitates it too. So it's like, dude, why didn't you just crawl back in? He's just like, nah, I've had enough. And of course, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who drew number 13, he won the Rumble by eliminating the one-man gag, becoming the first ever Royal Rumble winner. Now, let me point out, we are only counting this one show from television, and we're counting the pay-per-view Rumbles. There were other Rumbles, including the Greatest Royal Rumble, which to me does not, know it's not the greatest, but yeah, so that won't be included in these lists. And the other thing is, there were some Rumble matches that took place before Dish USA Network special, because they wanted to make sure it went perfect, so they did some practice Rumbles. And those will not be included either. Exactly. So yeah, technically Jim Duggan was not the first Rumble winner, but he was the first official Rumble winner. But this show was very successful. And so they decided after this one to make it a pay-per-view. And that's when the great idea came in. Well, every 2 minutes, how about we make it the most exciting 60 minutes of the pay-per-view and change it from 20 men to 30 men. It's 30 times 2 is 60, even though number 1 and 2 started at the exact same time. So it's technically not 60 minutes that way, but it is, because usually, the guys are not going to go out that fast after number 30 enters. So they did the first pay-per-view in 1989. Oh, did you have anything to add to 88 before we move on to 89?
No, we're good. Keep going.
Okay, so 89, the commentary team now, Ventura returns, but Ventura is now joined by Gorilla Monsoon, and this show is absolutely off the charts. It's one of the better Rumbles as far as excitement level goes, and really establishing what the Royal Rumble was going to become. We opened the show with a great 6-man tag match with Hacksaw Jim Duggan teaming with the Hart Foundation against Dino Bravo, who I mentioned earlier, and he's teaming with the Fabulous Rougeos. The crowd at one point during this match, they start a loud USA chant while Bret Hart is in the ring with one of the Rougeos, and Jesse calls them out on it, saying, "Why are these morons chanting USA when both of the guys in the ring are from Canada?" Yeah, which Bobby Heenan would point out later on at WrestleMania 9 when Yokozuna gimmickly was from Japan wrestling Bret Hart from Canada, and they were chanting USA. And Bobby Heenan goes, "Why are they chanting USA? They're so stupid. They only realize one of them's from Japan, the other one's from Canada." I remember. But Gorilla here tries to cover for this, and he says, "Well, clearly they're chanting USA just at Hacksaw Jim Duggan there on the apron." Which covers it. It does, because that was also Hacksaw's gimmick, to get the crowd to chant USA. Yep. So I'll give them that one. This was the start of seeing guys drawing their numbers for skits. And Ted DiBiase draws his number, and he's not happy with it. We don't see what it is at this point, but he's not happy with it. And then he finds Slick, the manager of champions, who nobody remembers. So he finds Slick, and he goes, "Slick, when you drew your numbers earlier for your guys, were you happy with them?" And he goes, "Unbelievable, brother." He goes, "That happy, huh? Well, let's talk some business." So, okay, we're going to see, maybe he's going to do something. He's the $1 million man after all. Is he going to buy a better number? And of course, the Bushwhackers, we see them draw their numbers, and they don't even look at them. They just go, "Oh, let's swap, mate." And so they swap. So they switch numbers. I don't have written down which numbers they were. I don't remember, and it doesn't really matter. So this one, we saw the weightlifting the year previously. This year they did the super pose down. Do you remember the super pose down?
Oh yeah.
The Ultimate Warrior and Ravishing Rick Rude. This was just horrendous. Warrior did some of the worst posing ever, and he's a former builder. You should know how to do posing.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Rude was having posing, Warrior wasn't, and yet Warrior was getting all the cheers because dirty con. And then Bobby Heenan had one of those pipes, the workout pipes, and he came over and hit Warrior over the back of the head with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he saved the pose down a bit, but
By the way,
a pose down would come into play. They would redo the same angle in 2003 with Triple H and Scott Steiner leading into the Royal Rumble. It wasn't at the Royal Rumble, but it was on a Raw leading into it, and they basically redid that whole angle.
by the way, Bushwhacker Butch was number 10 and Luke was 19.
So there you go. They weren't too far off anyway, but they traded those numbers. Yep. So we didn't get to the 30-man Rumble, and they wanted to establish to the audience, again, they're trying to teach the audience how the match works. They wanted to establish this is every man for himself. What better way to do that than to have number one as Demolition's Axe, number two, Demolition Smash, and literally when the bell rang, they went at it. Yep. And I mean, they went at it, trading blows. This was brutal. And then number three comes out, and it's Andre the Giant. So Axe and Smash stop fighting each other, and now they're winded, and they have to work together to try and fight off Andre. And it would have been smart to just stand there for the 2 minutes and not fight. But yeah, great way to start the Rumble and to show the people this is every man for himself. And yep. We would learn in 91 because there was no prize that was ever announced for any of these matches. In 91, Piper kind of gave some insight on commentary, which it's total BS, but it's just funny. He says, well, 29 of these guys ain't getting paid tonight. The only guy who gets paid is the winner. And then when guys are getting thrown out and they're like, well, he lasted a long time, but there's no second prize, right? He goes, no second prize. Only one guy's eating dinner tonight. So it was funny. But yeah, by starting in 92, which we'll get to, that's when they started out offering a prize for the winner. I mean, come on. Even WrestleMania 4, they gave a giant trophy to the winner of the Battle Royal, which Bret Hart smashed. But yeah, so here we learned, like I said, Andre Drews number 3. Andre eliminated himself from this Rumble because he still, at this point, was never eliminated on television anyway in a Battle Royal by anybody. But he eliminates himself when Jake Roberts came out and threw Damien in the ring. And Andre was so scared and terrified, he just jumped over the top rope.
Yeah, I remember watching the video on that one. I was watching a YouTube video on that, and it was just too funny. The scared look on Andre's face is like, no, I'm not going. I'm going. I gotta leave. I leave.
Yeah, and the reason I mention this, though, is because you're going to see later on, rules of this match have changed and been altered throughout the years.
Anytime.
Whenever convenient. Yep. Because they'll have rules, and then they won't have them, and then they have them again. It's really weird. Like, for example, in this Rumble, managers were not allowed at ringside. They said it's a huge rule. And so every time a manager comes to the ring, even they're forced to go to the back. But then the year after this one, which we'll get to, the managers were allowed to stay. But anyway, so Ted DiBiase, if you're wondering, because remember, he bought a new number. What number did he buy? Number 30, of course, because it was that lucky that Slick was able to be the guy who had number 30 for one of his guys. You know, how convenient. By the way, if you're wondering what DiBiase had, we don't know the exact number, but it was either number 22 or 23. And this is because the Big Boss Man came out in 22 and Akeem came out in 23. And the funny thing on this is, one, that's not a bad number to have. Exactly. I think I'd be happy with 22 or 23. It's a pretty good darn number to have going into this. But again, what are the odds that Slick had number 30 on one of his guys,
Mm-hmm.
and DiBiase would happen to have the number that was right next to Slick's other guy.
Yeah,
So they could trade and be back to back with each other.
exactly.
How convenient. So also in this match, a huge moment happens. It's the start of the Mega Powers exploding as Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage are in the ring at the same time, and Hogan eliminates Savage by mistake. Savage gets in the ring and starts arguing with Hogan, and Elizabeth runs down to the ring
Mm-hmm.
and she talks them out of fighting each other, and Savage leaves. But then Hogan is eliminated by Akeem and the Boss Man, so Hogan will not win this match. But not before Hogan creates a record. First, he eliminates both of the Brainbusters, burying them and making them look like garbage. But then the Warlord steps in the ring and gets buried worse, as he would set the long-time record of 2 seconds in the Rumble as he steps in and takes a clothesline right over the top rope by Hogan.
Yep.
I love it. This record was not mentioned at that point, and it was actually forgotten the next year, and it wasn't brought back up for a few more years, but we'll get into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Big John Studd, he won the match with number 27, and he disposed of DiBiase, who had 30. So whatever money DiBiase spent on number 30, it was money not well spent. And then Virgil got in the ring for number 31 spot, and he was thrown over the top as well. So Studd wins the match. Apparently, this was going to lead to a big push for Studd, but then an injury sidelined him, and that was the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
Any more thoughts on 90?
To be honest with you,
Or I'm sorry, 89.
to be honest with you, I think for me, as a kid watching this, I think the funniest thing is just when I saw Warlord get eliminated in 2 seconds. It's like I'm seeing I see him coming down the aisle. And he was just walking and doing his thing, and as he's getting in the ring, and I remember my cousins and I said, "Oh no, Hogan's in trouble! Hogan's in trouble!" Next thing you know, Hogan clothesline, and we all start laughing. That was just like a giddy moment as a kid.
This was one of those moments too that shows you that sometimes the commentators are aware of what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Gorilla Monsoon kind of ruins this. And by the way, I realized this is really funny too. By the way, I'm looking at my notes here, and where I wrote Ventura Gorilla commentary, because I was writing commentary next to each person.
Mm-hmm.
On this Rumble only, I screwed up and I have it written as commentary. So I guess they were con men doing commentary. They're conning you. But anyway, when Warlord's about to get in, Gorilla goes, "Watch this," as if he's making sure you're paying attention, and then he actually says, "Steps in, oh, and he's out of there." He gives away the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
He first tells you, "Watch this." He steps in, and oh, he's out of there. It's like, so you knew it was going to happen.
Well, I mean, as a kid, like I never paid attention to the guy. As a kid.
It was Bobby Heenan all over again. Yeah, but whose side is he on? It's always involving Hogan.
Yeah, right.
So moving on to 1990, I wrote undercard sucked, so we're not going to mention the undercard whatsoever for this show. Commentary team this time around, however, is different again. It's Jesse Ventura back again, but this time now he's with Tony Schiavone.
Oh yeah, I forgot Tony Schiavone was in WWF at the time.
Yeah, Tony actually called one of my favorite moments in WWE. A couple of my favorite moments, because there was one in particular in this match. But and all of my favorite Tony moments are always involved the Ultimate Warrior. One in this match, which we'll get to in a minute, but then the other was when Warrior slammed Andre, and he's like, "Warrior now with Andre, and he's gonna pick him up." And the way Tony says it, it's just so good. But the other one we'll get to in a minute because it's in this match. So we're gonna get to the Royal Rumble match. DiBiase, who last year had number 30, this year they made him open his number on camera so that there was no funny business, and he draws number 1. So 30 last year, 1 this year. But DiBiase would actually go on to last. Like, I didn't write down the time frame. It was like 45 minutes or something. No, he lasted a very long time in this Rumble, and it was a big deal at the time. And DiBiase has number 1, Coco Beware, number 2. And number 30 this time was also revealed on camera, ironically, and not a surprise, as it was Mr. Perfect who drew the perfect number, as he put it. They were really trying to establish he's perfect. This
Yeah.
would be the last Royal Rumble appearance of Andre the Giant as he came in with, again, Axe and Smash, who he was in there with the last time. But this time, Axe and Smash double clothesline Andre over the top rope.
Okay.
So Andre the Giant, for the first time ever, gets eliminated from a battle royal on television. And it's Axe and Smash that he let do the deed. He really liked these guys and wanted to put them over.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Axe and Smash, every other number, and they end up eliminating them. This is what's really messed up. Axe and Smash came out 1 and 2 the year previously. Here, they were only 2 numbers apart from each other. I don't have written down the numbers, but Axe came out and then Smash came out 2 numbers later. This would be a trend in Royal Rumbles that really kind of ruins the randomness of the drawings. Tag teams are always going to end up getting numbers either right next to each other or only a couple of numbers apart. And it's just not believable that would happen all the time. Mm-hmm. Particularly as we get further in, you'll see it happened every single year with Matt and Jeff Hardy. But we'll get to that when we get there. Mm-hmm. So it was an amazing feat, though, for Axe and Smash to eliminate Andre. And then we get the moment of all moments as Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior become the only 2 guys in the ring. And by the way, Shawn Michaels, I don't know, I've never heard anything on this, but Shawn Michaels seemed like he didn't want to get out of the ring to let that moment happen. And Warrior kind of had to force Shawn out of the ring. Mm-hmm. Did you notice that?
I remember it. I was just like, I didn't really, at the time, I didn't catch it much. But
yeah, Shawn even throws out the F word and like is really visibly upset.
Yeah.
At what happened, and it's just like I don't know if he was informed that was supposed to happen or not. So we get this moment, and then that's where Tony Schiavone and Jesse Ventura take over my commentary in my head, and it instilled in my brain forever because this is my second favorite Royal Rumble moment of all time, and my favorite moment is also going to be on today's podcast. We'll get there later, but when Hogan and Warrior are the only 2 guys in the ring. They're not the last 2 because there's more guys still to come, but that's when the crowd sees it and for the first time and really thinks, holy crap, can you imagine Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior? The thought never really processed in people's heads. And there's a long-standing rumor that apparently Zeus was supposed to come out in this Rumble and cost Hogan the match to build to a Hogan-Zeus match at WrestleMania for the title. Mm-hmm. Don't know how true that is, though, because Bruce Pritchard says no. A few people say no, but it's just one of those things that it's like if you were there, you know. If you're not, you're never going to know, you know? But, yeah, so Hogan and Warrior, they're in the ring, and then Jesse's just like, Hulk Hogan and a Warrior. And then Tony comes in with, there's not a person sitting down. And he's right. And that's another thing during this show, I got to mention, is there's this kid, he's sitting on the camera side, but you can see the front row on the camera side, the way that it's angled. And this kid drives me nuts the whole show. He just keeps jumping out of his seat. And you can see the people behind him even constantly telling him, sit down. And he won't stay down for 10 seconds. He's like his chair is on fire or something. And he's really annoying. He's wearing a red shirt, and then at one point even he gets Heenan going, because in this one, like I said, the managers were allowed at ringside, and he just keeps on arguing with Bobby Heenan all through the match. But yeah, so Hogan and Warrior have this moment, and then they crisscross the ring, and they double clothesline each other, and they're down. And then they realize they've still got a minute left before the next guy comes out, and these 2 are supposed to lay here until then. And the crowd starts becoming kind of restless after 10 seconds of this. So Ravishing Rick Rude, who's the next guy in, he ends up coming out early just to try and get the crowd livened up again. And the countdown clock does eventually come up like it would normally do, but Rude's already in the ring. So they quickly pull the clock off the thing, hoping nobody would notice, that he came out early.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he starts pummeling Hogan and Warrior, and then the Barbarian comes out and he's pummeling the 2, and they're just picking these guys apart. Or actually, Barbarian came in first, actually, and he starts picking them apart, but it was getting boring just watching Barbarian beat him up, and that's why Rude came out. Sorry, I screwed that up. Mm-hmm. But then Hogan is in the corner, and Warrior's fighting with Barbarian and Rude. And one of my favorite lines is because Hogan comes over and clotheslines Barbarian and Rude, but the only guy who goes over the top is the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
And he gets eliminated, and Rude and Barbarian are still in, and they're pummeling Hogan. And then Warrior gets in the ring. He attacks Rude, he attacks Barbarian, leaves Hogan alone, jumps out of the ring, and he leaves. And Tony Schiavone's just like, oh, he's a wild man. And then Jesse Ventura, he says the line of all lines, and my brother and I would quote this for years after this. He goes, he's an idiot. He goes, Hogan eliminates him, and he comes in and fights off both of Hogan's opponents? That makes no sense, Tori. But yeah, Mr. Perfect's perfect number of number 30 does not match up to Hulk Hogan's number 25 as Hulk Hogan wins the Royal Rumble. Anything to add to 90?
Nope.
All right, so moving on to 91, and this is honestly, we're going to get to favorites next week of the favorite list, but this is my favorite Royal Rumble match, 1991. Again, we'll get
Miami,
more.
Florida, at the Miami Arena.
Very good. You must be having it open, I believe.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm going by notes, but yeah, no, this is my favorite Rumble match. Again, we'll talk about favorite lists next week on part 2. But the commentary team is different again. Gorilla Monsoon is back, and this time he's being joined by Rowdy Roddy Piper. And like I said earlier, Piper is great on the commentary. Piper ends up mentioning, like I said, that the prize is that you would win money and that the losers don't get anything. They don't get paid.
Right.
Excuse me. So the opening match here is absolutely amazing. And actually kind of overshadows the Rumble. And it's still my favorite Rumble match. But, oh my God, this opening match. The Rockers versus the Orient Express. Do you remember this match?
Some of it. I do remember some of it.
Now, I will point out a year earlier at WrestleMania 6, there was the Rockers versus the Orient Express, but it was a different Orient Express.
Yeah.
As it was Pat Tanaka, but the partner was different. So it's two totally different matches. This match, oh man, they have some of the best spots in the history of tag team wrestling in this match. If you are a fan of tag team wrestling, particularly the high-flying, fast-paced tag team wrestling, this is the match you have to go and check out because it is just too good to even call what happens in this match. I will say, though, and this is really funny, I love this. My brother and I were in Queens before at a USA Pro show, and Mikey Whipwreck was teamed up with, I forget who his tag team partner was. I think it was Amazing Red, but I can't remember. It might have, I don't remember, but I think they were facing the SAT, but they ended up completely doing this match. Like move for move, they were redoing this entire match. And I figured it out about 5 minutes into the match, and my brother's like, I don't think so. But then there was no denying it once they got to the finish, because the finish is so original. Where Jannetty, like I said, it's so hard to call this, but like basically, the one guy's ready to he keeps slingshotting the one rocker into the other into chops from Tanaka, and then Jannetty comes in and changes the format, and so it ends up turning into a sunset flip into a pin. It's just so cool, you have to see it. But they did the exact same finish even, and my brother's like, I think you're right. I think they completely ripped off the 91 match. So it was really funny to see them redoing this match. It's that good. You need to check this out. Ultimate Warrior, who's the current champion because he beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. Sherry Martel comes out and basically tells the Warrior that she wants him to give a shot to the Macho King Randy Savage if he wins his match later and keeps the title. And Warrior he gets a kiss from Sherry, and then he spits and then says, no, and Sherry, the no is so powerful it knocks Sherry over. That's how good Sherry is itself. It knocks her down, and then it cuts the Savage in the back going, he said no, I'm gonna go get him right now. Well, why didn't you come out and ask him in the first place? Well, apparently because Sherry was supposed to seduce Warrior and failed. Yeah, so then Savage runs out and he's going crazy and he's not happy. We then cut to Sergeant Slaughter, who at this point was doing that stupid gimmick of the Iraqi sympathizer. And he's gonna face the Ultimate Warrior for the title. Warrior's outfit here is freaking amazing. As the kids would say, it was lit. you know, um, Matt Stryker would even, or sorry, not Matt Stryker, Zack Ryder would implement that outfit in his Americana outfit they did a few years ago when he wore Randy Savage's Americana glasses, Sting's American jacket from Great American Bash, and he wore the same tights that Warrior wore here. Not the exact same tights, but the same design. He didn't say, "Hey, Mr. Warrior, can I have your tights?"
Yeah,
No comment.
knowing, I was gonna say, knowing Warrior, he would have charged him an arm and a leg just for the honor of wearing his tights.
Knowing Warrior, he doesn't have the tights anymore. But yeah, so this match is actually a good match. Again, Warrior had some decent matches. This was one of them. Mainly because of all the ins and outs going on in the match now. So Slaughter gives a big knee to Warrior, and Warrior gets thrown into the ropes. The referee's not looking. Randy Savage comes out and smashes his scepter over the head of Warrior. This just looks brutal as it shatters over the head, and then Slaughter pulls Warrior over and hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3. Sergeant Slaughter becomes the world champion. And the crowd is booing. And then Piper and Gorilla are great here. They're just like, clearly they're going to call it a disqualification. And they announce the winner and new and Piper's just like, bull, that's bull. And he's just flipping out a commentary, and Piper swears, and then Gorilla goes, "You got to calm down." He goes, "I'm sorry, Gorilla." But Piper really was underrated as a commentator, I think. And a lot of people loved him as commentator, but I still think you can never rate him high enough. So that's why I say he's underrated. Then we go to an interesting tag match.
Yep.
There's so many big things at this Rumble. It's amazing. So Ted DiBiase, of course, buys himself a tag team partner. All the money he has, and he wants to just use his bodyguard Virgil. That just seems a little far-fetched to me. Couldn't buy a better tag team partner?
Well, you have to remember that, why pay a buttload of money for a good, really good tag team partner that can charge him an arm and a leg when he could just use his slave? That's what it was.
And they did mention that at this show, and that's why he can say that. But yeah, so no, but DiBiase was part of the Road War. He was part of the Legion of Doom with the Road Warriors and Jake Roberts, and all of them work for this company at this point.
Yep.
But yeah, so they were going to wrestle Dusty Rhodes and Dusty's son Dustin, who would later return to WWF as Goldust. But Dusty and Dustin win the match. DiBiase blames Virgil and then starts belittling him on the microphone about, "Do I have to remind you about your mother, about your father? I gave them work," and yeah, basically going down the slave route. Yeah. And people were so mad, and DiBiase gets hit with so much trash in this incident. It's actually a funny one where a big cup of soda comes and just nails DiBiase right in the face, and the cup explodes when it hits him.
Wasn't this the same year when Virgil finally stood up for himself?
We're getting there. That's here.
Okay,
that's right here.
See, that's where I'm remembering
it. DiBiase gets hit with this cup. It explodes, and then if you watch the background behind him, you'll see a security guard go running in the direction where the cup came. It's really funny. But yeah, he's just telling him off, and then he tells Virgil, "Pick up my $1 million title and wrap it around my waist." And then Virgil throws the belt down, and he's just like giving him a look, and he goes, "What do you think you're doing? I said pick it up. Come on. You want to get paid, don't you? You need this job." And he's just like telling him off. And then Virgil bends down to pick it up. And DiBiase's just like, "That's right. That's right." And then DiBiase turns his back as Virgil's got the belt. He picked it up. And then he goes, "Like I always say, everybody's got a price." And then he turns around and Virgil, bam, nails DiBiase in the head with the belt. And Piper goes ballistic on commentary of, "Yes, yes." He's like, "I love it." And the crowd is going crazy for Virgil, and Virgil tags one individual fan's hands, even though tons of them put out their hands. And this was Virgil's moment to shine. He should have been tagging everybody's hands, and I think he would be remembered better if he was. Instead, this was the moment where they showed everybody, hey, he just had a major babyface turn, and yet he's still healing on the fans. And that's why nobody cares about Virgil. and why to this day he has to
He's
show up in the New York City subways trying desperately to find somebody that remembers who he was.
as well as other nefarious things during WrestleCon.
Because even this led to WrestleMania 7, Virgil versus DiBiase, and
Mhm.
Virgil had Piper in his corner, and
Yeah,
Piper was on one leg, and he still got over better than Virgil did in that match.
exactly, exactly. No, I mean,
But yeah, so it's a big moment.
I'm gonna a couple of interesting side notes. Okay, uh,
Okay.
I remember talking with DiBiase some time ago when I first met him. You remember the show? You remember the show
Yeah,
where
it
he
was my
broke up?
show.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember I was having a conversation with him in the locker room, and I asked him about the $1 million belt. And he told me that the first version of it he didn't like it. He hated it. And the reason why is because it kept coming apart because of the way it was designed. And I was like, so what ended up happening? Who redid the belt or whatever? And like I don't remember what he said, but I know that he hated the first time that he got it because anytime he would put it on, it comes apart, the latches, everything. It was just a pain. So that's why it was like uh he made it part of anytime that he would make Virgil put it on him or something like that, as part of the thing. It's because that was the only way he could put it on without it
Yeah,
coming apart.
he couldn't strap it on from behind. I know.
Yeah, it was
And you
just
could
crazy.
see it too, because this was the last time they used that belt. And when Virgil hits DiBiase with it, if you pay attention, the
Mhm.
belt comes apart in Virgil's hands.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember he was telling me that moment when it broke, in that Royal Rumble, it was just he was like, "Oh, thank God, I don't got to use this freaking thing again."
Yeah, and they ended up getting a new one. There was actually a funny follow up story too when they first got that belt, because that belt was, I think they said it was like $700,000 or something.
Yep.
It was not quite a million, but Virgil was basically legitimately a bodyguard for the belt, and they would keep it in a briefcase and use it as carry on the planes. And one day, DiBiase got to the hotel with Virgil, and he goes, "Where's the belt?" And he goes, "I thought you had it."
Mhm.
"Why would I have it? You always have it." And yeah, that became a major problem. And they went back to the airport and they couldn't find the belt, and it became a big problem. And finally, they did find the briefcase. The airport did, and they gave it to him. But it was a scare. They were like, Ted said he opened up that briefcase thinking the belt's gonna be gone. The belt's gonna be gone. It was in there, and he said he gave a major tip to the guy at the airport and said, "You just saved my life."
Crazy. What I'm surprised is that we didn't see Virgil at your show.
I'm not getting into that, but
No,
anyway,
I'm just no, I'm just saying because the way that he is. Anytime if it's nearby,
um, I will say one thing:
yeah.
there was contact on one of our ends.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that.
Gotcha.
One of our ends did try to get him,
Him.
and I'll leave it at that.
He's a dumbass.
But
That's all I gotta say.
so going on to the Rumble match, again, favorite Rumble match.
Yep.
Bret Hart again is number one.
Mm-hmm.
It's only his second Royal Rumble, and he's got number one in both of them. Bad luck for the Hitman.
Yep.
In reality, of course, it's because Bret was so good that they wanted him to open this match and get the people going, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Dino Bravo gets number two.
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker comes out and starts dominating the whole match. He's the guy who finally eliminates Bret. Bret lasted about maybe 12, 13 minutes, something like that.
Yep.
And then Taker eliminates him. This is Undertaker's first Rumble. Undertaker had just made his debut at Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
And then the LOD comes in and they double team Undertaker to eliminate him. The rumor has it that happened because LOD refused to do any kind of work to show that Taker was stronger than them, because they were really upset because just a year previously, when they were doing the program with skyscrapers in the NWA, they were using Taker as a job guy.
Yeah.
And now they were expected to make Taker look better than them, and they both refused. And the compromise was, well, you guys will eliminate Taker together, and Taker lands on his feet too. So that was the compromise.
Yeah.
The storyline here is that Randy Savage, who earlier attacked the Warrior, ran him out of the building now, and so Savage did not show up at his spot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an empty spot. First of many times this would happen in the Royal Rumbles.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Martel at this point sets the longest record for the Royal Rumble, again at this point, of lasting 52 minutes in the match.
Wow.
They mistakenly, however, like I said, the record for shortest time was already set in 1989 by the Warlord. But here, Luke the Bushwhacker gets eliminated, which, by the way, I wrote Luke Bushwhacked. I think that was autocorrect, though.
Mhm.
So he's got the shortest record at 4 seconds, they say. But that's not the record because the record was Warlord, and yet they already forgot. Now, the problem is, after they said this about Luke Bushwhacker having the 4-second rule,
Mhm.
for the next, 10 years, they would mistakenly say Luke the Bushwhacker had the record. And they forgot all about Warlord.
Yep.
So Tugboat draws number 30, but again, number 30 does not win as Hulk Hogan wins for the second year in a row at number 24. Last year, Hogan won at 25,
Yep.
to remind you. So
the crazy thing is that Tugboat was eliminated by Hulk Hogan. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I think, and if I remember correctly, this was the first of many, I guess, disagreements that they would have before Tugboat would turn on Hogan to become Typhoon.
one of them, yeah. Interestingly here, there's a lot of interesting things in this Rumble I'm not going to ruin, but Shane Douglas, so young Shane Douglas, he comes over from WCW and joined this match, and he lasts quite a while too, and yet they did nothing with him.
Yeah.
But Hulk Hogan's standing at the curtain waiting to come out. He doesn't come out yet, and a kid, some kid, I don't know who he is, but he notices Hogan behind the curtain. And before Hogan actually walks out, you hear the kid just scream, "Hulk Hogan!"
Yeah.
And it's just so funny. And then Hogan runs out and they're like, "Oh, it's the Hulkster."
Yeah.
But yeah, great Rumble. This is a good one. And we're going to move on now to, unless you had something to add to 91.
I'm good. I'm just adding
All right,
as I go.
92. I'm going to probably alienate a lot of people here and make a lot of people really upset.
Okay.
The commentary team here
Yep.
for 1992 is Gorilla Monsoon back, this time joined by Bobby Heenan. Before I alienate everybody, let's go over some of the good highlights of this card. The new foundation, which now is Jim Neidhart and Owen Hart, they took on the Orient Express. And it's the same Orient Express from the WrestleMania 6 show, not the Orient Express that we saw at WrestleMania 7, or I mean at the Royal Rumble last year.
Mm-hmm.
So the Orient Express and the new foundation, they put on a great tag match. Not as good as the Rockers won the year previously, but that's a tough act to follow. The Mountie had won the Intercontinental title from Bret Hart at a house show a week prior to this event. And here, Roddy Piper beats the Mountie and wins his only singles title in WWE. He wins the IC title here. And he would later drop it back to Bret at WrestleMania 8. People forget Piper was a tag team champion later on with Ric Flair. That's why I say his only singles title. But the world title is going to be the prize of the Royal Rumble match. There's finally a prize on the line. There was some controversy in November at Survivor Series. Undertaker won the title after Ric Flair put a chair in the ring and Undertaker gave him the tombstone on the chair. Hogan would win the title back the next week by opening Undertaker's urn, and yet they forgot about that in a couple of years, which we'll get to in a minute. Mm-hmm. But he opened the urn and he threw dirt, not ashes, black dirt. Apparently, they'd never seen ashes before. And he throws them in the eyes of the Undertaker. And due to all the controversy, Jack Tunney's like, "I have enough. I'm taking the title and we're vacating it and putting it on the line. The winner of the Royal Rumble will win this match." Mm-hmm. Now, let me get to this. So, number one is the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. Number two is Ted DiBiase, who was not in last year's Rumble, but the year previously, he had number one. So he goes from number 30 to number one to number two.
I wonder why he just didn't pay somebody to get number 30 again.
I don't know, but he did not. So apparently number one, by the way, was supposed to be Ric Flair, but Vince thought it wasn't right. I got to admit, I actually like him better coming out at 3 because it did add this element to what number is he going to have? Oh, he's got 3. But then they ruined it. And here's why. the Coliseum video release, which now is the version that's on WWE Network as
Mm-hmm.
well, has an exclusive interview with Ric Flair prior to the match where he gave away that he's number 3.
Mm-hmm.
That ruined it to me. But now we got lots of fun moments in this Rumble,
mm-hmm.
and I will admit that. But now this is where I'm going to alienate everybody.
Okay.
Bobby Heenan's commentary absolutely ruins this entire freaking match for me. I know that everybody is right now going, what is wrong with him? Bobby Heenan is the best thing about this match. Everybody I hear say 92 Rumble's the best Rumble of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And for Bobby Heenan alone, Bobby Heenan's so good. Let me explain something. This is why it's not. I'm going to first ask you a question.
Okay.
What do you think about the Bobby Heenan's commentary here?
I'll be honest with you. I was never really a fan of Bobby. I mean, you again remember as a kid, kayfabe was really alive in my heart.
But even now, as an adult, not what you thought back then.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, like now as an adult, as I listened to it, when I was going back on different Royal Rumbles for the podcast. No, I have to agree with you. His commentary definitely ruined it. It's
now here's what I'm gonna say why for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring up 2011 Michael Cole.
Oh God!
You know how everybody complained because all Michael Cole did was side with the heels and not call the matches. He would just be like, "Oh, it's not right, The Miz," and he would just badmouth all the baby faces and just be a one-sided guy for not even just the heels, but for one particular guy.
Yeah.
And he wasn't calling any of the action. And this was a complaint that everybody had.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that.
Yeah.
Everybody had this complaint. Tell me, what the heck is the difference between 2011 Michael Cole and Bobby Heenan on commentary here? What's the difference?
The
minute Ric Flair comes out at number 3,
he's like
Bobby first. It's okay at first when he just goes, "Yeah." It's like, okay, fine, I get it. But then for the entire match, he does not call any action. It's just, it's not fair to Flair. Where's Flair? Where's Flair?
Yeah.
Where is he? Where is he?
Yep.
It's okay, perfect to go. All he does is talk about Ric Flair for the entire match.
No,
it's like, dude,
he was
blow the guy and get over with it.
Yeah, exactly. No, and literally,
I hate this match listening to Bobby Heenan. It's like, I want to enjoy what's going on.
You got to watch it on mute. You have to watch it on mute, period.
I mean, he has some funny lines here and there, and I'm going to mention them because I do think there's some funny moments. Like I said, this Rumble has so many great moments.
I mean, I'm gonna say this really quick. When it came to the commentary with the Flair thing and all that, is just what I was trying to say was, if you think about it, right? Anytime he couldn't see Flair, right? Bobby Heenan was like, kind of like a mom looking for their child. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but do you want to hear that mom looking for a child on commentary?
That's no, but that's the whole point. It's like at some point when I was watching the Rumble, I could think to myself of why didn't they have an announcement of I'm missing my Flair? Where's Flair? With the missing poster. If you see Ric Flair call Bobby Heenan at 555-3434 or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, at times it was not bad. Like I like when he was like, "Hold on a second here. I'm gonna go help him." No, you're sitting right here. It's like, no, Bobby, go help him. Get out of there. but like, at one point we get to the point where it's just Flair, and he goes, "That's it. He won the match." What are you talking about? There's a lot of guys left. How about he did good enough? I'll give him that. See, there's moments that it works, because at that point there's no action going on, so it's okay. Like when there's one-on-one action between Flair and somebody, it's okay. Because again, he's the only guy in there. But other than that, it's like, dude, stop focusing just on him. After Flair's alone in the ring with Big Boss Man, by the way, taking the ugliest bump out of the ring ever. I'm in that. Go back and rewatch that. Don Morocco's got nothing on freaking Big Boss Man here. So, Yeah, so Big Boss Man, I'm not kidding. He actually lands on the top rope and he's hanging in the ring, and then he does like a pendulum thing and swings himself out of the ring. It looks so ridiculous, and then he even hangs himself on the bottom rope. So it's just like, what the heck did Boss Man do here? That's like probably one of the most epic eliminations in history. Um, but anyway, so then Roddy Piper comes out, and Roddy Piper won the Intercontinental title earlier. He theoretically could win the world title and win both titles in the same night. So Ric Flair's just scared to death. And Pipe again, this is where Bobby shines with, of all the people, not him, not him. And again, I love Bobby here. This is where it works because it's what I want. So, like, Flair's doing stuff to Piper, but it's doing no effect. Piper's no selling anything. And he gets a low blow from Flair, and Flair thinks he took care of it. And then Piper with the thumb to the eye. It's just brilliant. And then it gets bad again, where Flair again is going, or I mean, Bobby again is going crazy on Flair. At one point, by the way, we get Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair in this match, which is funny hindsight because of where they would go at WrestleMania 24. But yeah, we get to a point where Randy Savage is in the ring, and then he eliminates himself. And then they come up with a bullcrap line. I don't know if Savage wasn't supposed to do this and he just forgot. Which, if Savage proves the year later, he's even dumber, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, he eliminates himself, but then they let him come back in the ring, and they come up with this bogus rule of saying, well, apparently you have to be propelled by somebody in order to be eliminated. Tell that to Andre the Giant. You know? And it's funny because Savage, 3 years in a row, something interesting happens with him. Because remember, 91, he didn't show up. Remember?
Yeah.
So he didn't show up in 91. 92, he eliminates himself. In 93, we'll get to in a minute. But it's just really funny. And like I even wrote here, despite the fact that Andre in 89 eliminated himself, they said here he couldn't. So they altered the rules for this. And then Hogan kind of turned heel in this match, but he's tried to play it off that he's still the baby face. But Hogan ends up being eliminated by Sid Justice. At the time, that's what they were calling him. And then he pulls Sid over the top, which is a heel move.
Yeah, no, it was crazy because after Hogan is eliminated, they get into that argument, right? And I don't remember if Sid dared Hogan to try to pull him out, like he like saying, hey, you know what? If you're so mad, why don't you pull me out? Or did Hogan purposely grab his arm during that little argument and try to pull him out? That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I don't remember.
Yeah, Sid was pointing out of the ring, laughing at Hogan and telling him to go to the back, and Hogan reached up and grabbed his arm as he's pointing.
Yeah.
And then Flair came from behind and pushed Sid over the top.
Yeah, so it was just.
And then they stole Flair's moment because Flair, instead of getting this moment, it becomes about Hogan and Sid. And the whole crowd's booing Hogan, which is edited out of WWE Network. I really recommend that if you could get a hold of it, watch the original broadcast. This crowd was not Hogan at all.
Oh, no.
And Sid looks over even at a sign that says Hogan's washed up and needs to go. Yeah. And he goes, look at that. They don't like you. They know you're garbage. Yeah, no, a lot of this is edited out of the network, yeah, but no, he just went.
Oh, I remember wholeheartedly. As a kid, and they're booing Hogan, and I'm pissed off at Hogan too. I'm like, what the heck? You're a sore loser. You're a sore. I'm screaming at the.
They're
TV.
Booing Hogan, and Sid, again, all this is edited out of the network. Yeah. Sid starts doing Hogan's pose with the ear to listen. And he's laughing because he's listening to them booing. Oh. And then he tells him, I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Which was eventually lead to the match at WrestleMania 8. But then Flair goes to the back and he cuts this promo that's amazing, which apparently, I've only heard this one place and I don't know how reliable this is, but apparently his promo was supposed to have been directed directly at Jim Herd.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is. Another YouTuber who claims to do research, he mentioned that recently, so I'll just leave that at that. But one thing that is remembered more, there's two moments of that promo that everybody remembers. One was Flair starting with a tear in my eye. You know, that right there is like the memorable line.
Oh, yeah.
But the other memorable line from that promo, do you remember what it is?
No, I don't.
Right as the celebration's going on and Gene Okerlund's trying to sign off, he just blurts out, "Put that cigarette out," pointing at somebody. And it's like, who the heck did he say that to?
Yeah.
Gene Okerlund on the True Story of the Royal Rumble DVD
Hmm?
actually even mentions all these years later, 30 years later, people still be asking me
Hmm.
who was smoking. I even wonder. We never got that answer. What was up with it? He just goes, "Put that cigarette out."
No, so,
Just
no,
like I'll never forget too. This one was edited off TV, but it was on a blooper thing that WWE put out. WWE put out a bloopers tape, which I think is on the network. I'm not sure, but they put out a blooper tape. And it was, I think, 1990, but it may have been 89, but I think it was 90. In fact, it had to be 90 because it was when the Warrior was about to have the pose down with Rude. Um, my, Mean Gene's doing a promo backstage with Rude, and in the blooper reel, the big sign that says Royal Rumble that's behind him, it falls down and hits Gene in the head,
and Gene's was he cussed.
and he goes, "What the F?"
I remember
Just
that.
so funny.
Gotta love
Because he
that.
goes, "Gentlemen, as you know, the Ultimate Warrior. What the F?" Oh man, great memories. But so are we done with 92? Oh, and Ric Flair, by the way, wins at number 3. Like I said, he won the world title, and he set the record for the longest time in the Rumble. He beat Rick Martel's previous record. Flair was in there for 1 hour. Even though they lie, by the way, earlier in the match, they said he was already in there for an hour when there's like another 10, 20 minutes left.
Mhm.
So, no, Flair was in there for an hour because this one was not every 2 minutes. This was the first Rumble to go to every 90 seconds, which everybody's like, oh, it's not that much different. Yeah, it is because it cuts off time off all 30 guys. So yeah, Flair lasted 1 hour. Anything to add to 92?
No.
All right, so moving on to 93. This is the first time we're getting the same team. The 92 team returns. Heenan and Gorilla doing commentary. Personal story here. So, my brother and I got invited to a Royal Rumble party. And we went to this Royal Rumble party, and these people were absolutely insane with this. And I love it. They had rules that they had printed off their computers, and they posted them all over the house. The Royal Rumble rules, like don't get up during a title match or an important moment. Don't stand in front of the TV, which my brother's friend's little brother stood up and started posing like Shawn Michaels during the Shawn Michaels Marty Jannetty match. And he got whacked with a broom. We're like, sit down, and they hit him with the broom. It was really funny. But they had a big platter out, man. They had a big freaking table with cold cuts and all kinds of snacks and pretzels. I was like, it was like a Super Bowl party for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
It was insane. I was like, this is nuts.
They must have been really rich in order to have a computer in
They were actually
93.
really poor. They lived in a really bad neighborhood and everything. This was like ghetto fabulous, but it was really cool the way they had this set up.
Well, then
My anxiety became a major issue on this
they
show. I'll
saved
get that out of the way
they
now.
saved they saved a bunch of money to get that computer. That's all I gotta say. For
Well, they may not
93.
have printed it at their computer. Maybe they did it at the library. So I
Okay.
don't know, but it was really cool. I remember that. But my anxiety was a problem at this show, which I'll get to a little later on what caused it. But I ended up wanting to leave. And the dad wasn't happy to leave during the middle of the Royal Rumble match, but he did take me home. And then after the show, my parents had gotten the brand new pizza place that had opened, which at the time was Little Caesars, and
Mhm.
it was the first time I ever had Little Caesars,
Okay.
and it was really funny because Julius Caesar, the actor they had playing Julius Caesar, was in attendance at this to promote that WrestleMania was going to be at Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
So it was funny that all this Caesar stuff was going on, and then after we saw that, he was like, "Hey, let's go have that Little Caesars." And this was when Little Caesars, by the way, not to get on a tangent about Little Caesars, but I missed this. They used to have these paper bags that were really long, and they had a cardboard insert, and you could only buy the pizzas by buying two of them, and you got two in that bag. Do you remember that?
Not really. We didn't eat out a lot.
Yeah, so they had these two pizzas that you would get. That's where the infamous line, by the way, came from. Pizza, pizza,
Okay.
because it was two.
Oh, okay.
And they came in a bag with the cardboard insert holding the pizzas, and they were smaller than their larges now, but it was like $8, and you got two pizzas, and they had their crazy bread, and they also had kids meals with toys and stuff back then. But not to get on a tangent about Little Caesars. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
show opens up with Marty Jannetty versus Shawn Michaels. This is because at the end of 1991, Shawn Michaels threw Marty Jannetty through the barbershop window, so that we didn't have to deal with Brutus Beefcake on television anymore. Thank you, Shawn. Uh, he was window shopping,
Yep.
huh? There's even a meme going around now that I love about that. Hey, what kind of operating system did Shawn Michaels have? He had Windows 91.
Oh god. Go ahead.
There's so many
Memes.
good jokes on that to go there. But yeah, just like hey Marty, what the heck, man? Why did you have your binge? Marty got drunk and then he went and put himself through the window. All this stuff. But yeah, so here they're gonna have the match, and Sherry Martel is in there because she's with Shawn, but she's kind of breaking away from Shawn at this point. So she's like in between Shawn and Marty.
Yeah.
And it's like a big deal, and that would continue going into WrestleMania with Shawn versus Tatanka as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Sherry at this point, by the way, was looking gorgeous. But
Yeah.
yeah, so they had a good match, Marty and Shawn. Not their best one. That would take place on Monday Night Raw later in the year. But yeah, great match between them. The main event, that's the world title match, I mean, that was scheduled was going to be Ultimate Warrior versus champion Bret Hart. Did you know that?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, Bret mentioned in his book, and recently it was more detailed what had gone down. One of the reasons Warrior left, as we know, was the steroid incident. But it was also because Warrior was taking a fit because he found out earlier in 92, like toward the end of 92, he found out he was going to be working the Royal Rumble with Bret Hart, and he was supposed to put Bret over.
Oh god.
And he was not happy about it. I guess the rumor is that the finish was supposed to be him going for his big splat for this move on him, and then he would go for the splash that he would do, but Bret would roll out of the way and then lock in the sharpshooter, and Warrior would give up.
And,
But Warrior was gone
yeah.
before Survivor Series, even, which they had to replace him with Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
If you don't remember that,
When we talked
but they needed to
about that.
replace him with somebody. So Vince looked around, and the locker room was getting kind of thin at this point, and they had a brand new character ready to debut who had been having vignettes, Razor Ramon.
Mm-hmm.
And Vince said, well, let's throw him in there. So Razor Ramon basically came in and got a world title shot right out of the gate. You know? So, and they had a decent match. It was a good match with Bret and Razor. I like the Royal Rumble match. So now we get to the rule for the Royal Rumble, which would be the prize for the majority of them ever since, where the winner of the Royal Rumble will get a title shot against the champion at WrestleMania. So Bret Hart keeps the belt from Razor, so he will be in the main event at WrestleMania against the winner of the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble entrant number one is Ric Flair. Again, he was supposed to have number one the year before. He got 3. Now he's got 1.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is the returning Bob Backlund. I got to admit, I'm 8 years old. I had no idea who the heck Bob Backlund was.
You're not the only one. You are not the only one.
I know a lot of people's like, how did you not know Bob Backlund? My aunt's boyfriend actually was like, that's not the Backlund I remember.
Yeah.
Backlund used to be the champion. And I was like, huh? He was. What are you talking about? He's brand new. I didn't know who he was.
Right. No, I didn't know either. It wasn't. I mean, even with the vignettes or interviews, when they're before that when they were like, oh yeah, Bob Backlund's coming back, and they did like little interviews here and there and whatever. I'm like, I did not know who the heck he was. I was just confused, and
I'll
I'm like,
admit though,
yeah,
I didn't know who he was at the start,
mm-hmm,
but I knew who he was at the end of this,
yep,
and
definitely,
I'll get to that in a minute. But
yep,
so yeah, incident happens during this Rumble. Undertaker gets attacked by the former El Gigante.
okay.
Now, I know it's El Gigante.
Mm-hmm.
Even at 8 years old, I watched WCW religiously. I know
Exactly,
El Gigante.
exactly. I was,
I
it was the
got to
same with
admit,
me. Yep.
again, I can't go by what happened. I'm 8 years old
Mm-hmm.
and I have anxiety issues.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing El Gigante dressed in that outfit
Yeah.
gave me a nightmare
Me
and put me
too.
in a bad panic attack.
Me too.
I was in the biggest panic attack ever. I was running around these people's house
Mm-hmm.
because we're at somebody else's house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running around their house and I'm just like going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they ball up into a corner. I have to go home. I have to get out of there. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm breaking every Royal Rumble rule.
Yep.
They're like getting so angry at me.
Mm-hmm.
And they took me home. And I watched the remainder of it at my house with my dad because he was watching at home.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not good. Again, I know who El Gigante is. I don't know why I can't describe it.
It
But
was something. It was just something because you got to remember El Gigante in WCW. He was this big friendly giant. You know, he was this big friendly giant that everybody loved, and all the kids. I mean, he was a big baby face kids. You know, and when he gets to WWF and that the gear that they have him wearing and and I mean in
this
W
was the one with the fur, by the way. They
that's what
took the fur
yeah
off after this event.
yeah I'm saying with the with the fur, and then at the same time like they had him grow his beard and his mannerisms of like kind of like that anger of like the big hungry giant type of thing. It was just that was freaking me out too, and and I was
See,
like,
I
oh
gotta say though, I think also it was Bobby Heenan.
yeah, no,
Because
definitely.
Bobby Heenan's making it out to be a big deal, and then Damien Demento comes out,
Hmm.
and John's favorite guy. If John's still listening, hey, your favorite guy, Damien Demento. There's his plug. But so Damien Demento comes out, and he won't even get in the ring, and then Bobby Heenan even goes, "Look at Damien Demento, he won't even get in the ring. Demento, he's afraid of this guy."
Yep.
So I'm like, you know what? If Damien Demento's afraid of him, I could be afraid of him too. But anyway, moving on. Randy Savage draws number 30
Yep.
and proves he's an idiot as he tries to pin Yokozuna in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And then Yoko pushes him, and Randy then gets up. It looks terrible. He gets up and he jumps over the top rope.
I remember. I remember
But
that.
anyway,
I
Bob
remember
Backlund
that
sets
because
the new record.
yeah.
Ric Flair, you no longer have the record. Ric Flair had the record at 60 minutes. Well, now Bob Backlund has it at 61 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
1 minute past Ric Flair's record.
Oh,
He's got the record.
and 10
So, like I said,
seconds.
I didn't know who Backlund was going into this, but I knew who Backlund is now.
Mm-hmm.
Backlund, he's getting standing ovation, by the way, from the crowd. They're loving him. And then Yoko wins at number 27. This was the second person, by the way, to win at number 27 in the Rumble match. The first one, if you don't remember, was Big John Studd in 1989. Number 27 would become eventually at one point the lucky number to have. That's also been surpassed now, but this was the second person now to win with that number.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add to 93 before we move on?
No, I wanted to add when you were mentioning about the Yoko Macho Man thing, and
Okay.
okay, as the crazy thing was that again, I'm watching this with my cousins and my brother, and and I can remember my uncle and when Yoko pushes Randy off, and then Randy stands up and jumps over the ring. I can remember my uncle Hector. He was he was saying something. He said something in Spanish. He says, now what kind of stupid is that? Like he was like, what kind of stupid is that? And And all the kids, we look at my uncle. We look at my uncle like, oh my gosh, he cussed in front of the kids. But
Yeah,
he,
because it is stupid. So
yeah, no, but it was just, and my dad, he was laughing. He was just laughing, hysterically because he heard his brother cuss, for like the first time in like so many years or whatever. It was just one of the. It was a stupid thing to watch, but it was a funny moment to just see my uncle at that react. Oh man.
yeah, it was crazy. I don't know how Savage was. Like I said, 3 years in a row. Something it's interesting happens with him. And in fact, actually, kind of 4 years in a row. Because '94 too, we'll get to in a second, or something that really every time Savage is in a Rumble.
Hmm.
Does that mean he had the moment with Hogan too in '89?
Hmm.
So Savage was always a big deal in the Royal Rumbles. But we got to move on quicker because we have. I'm noticing the time, and we got a lot more to cover here on this episode. So I'm gonna just barrel through my notes, not really take too many pauses. But again, if you have anything to add, just jump in with it. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
Okay. So, '94 commentary team here: Vince McMahon and Ted DiBiase. DiBiase is great on commentary. I love him here.
Hmm.
Uh, Opening up with the Quebecers versus Bret Hart and Owen Hart. This is due to the Survivor Series. Bret and Owen had their little falling out when Owen kind of got nailed by Bret, blamed Bret. They patched things up over the Christmas holiday, and then here, Bret gets injured and he refuses to tag Owen. He tries to go for the sharpshooter, and it buckles out. The referee calls for the bell and calls the match. Owen blames Bret, saying, "If you had tagged me, I would have won the match for us."
Hmm.
Gets mad and he kicks Bret's leg. Then he goes to the back and he cuts the promo of promos when he says, "Bret, you're too darn selfish, and that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg."
Yep. Yep.
I kicked your leg out of your leg. Then we move on to the casket match. Yokozuna versus The Undertaker. This match terrified me. I'll admit, 9 years old. This pay-per-view took place on a Saturday night. It was the
Hmm.
night before the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
And I was up all night terrified at what I'd witnessed. Even
Hmm.
though earlier in the night, by the way, we actually saw during WWF Mania that morning a guy testing the ropes where they would have the Undertaker lookalike raising above. I don't know, just the whole deal with the green smoke coming out of the urn, even though it had been opened before and we saw black dirt in there. Now so it's green smoke,
Hmm.
but there's green smoke in there because apparently the Great Muta, that's where he keeps his mist. But and it's coming out of there a lot. I still don't know how they pulled off that effect because it was coming out for like 5 minutes, and then it started coming out of the casket, and then the whole deal with that. It was really stupid, but terrified me. The Royal Rumble match. We're back to the weirdness of tag teams, and because we open with Scott Steiner number one, Samu of the Head Shrinkers is number two, Rick Steiner's number three. Come on, man. Why are these tag teams all getting numbers right next to each other?
Hmm.
Makes no sense. There's 30 numbers, guys. Play around with the randomizer a little bit.
Hmm.
Diesel comes in and dominates the ring the first time that's ever happened. He eliminates like 7 guys and that's, without them even lasting to the next guy until Randy Savage comes in and changes it.
Hmm.
Um, and then Adam Bomb draws number 30. Bastion Booger did not come out at number 25 because earlier in the day on WWF Mania, he draws his number. We saw him draw it and he goes, "Oh, wow, 28."
Hmm.
And they went, "No, you can't have that now because you told everybody." He goes, "Oh, come on. It's a good number." And they said, "It doesn't matter. You can't tell people. Put it back in." He goes, "Oh." But he threw it back in. Nobody remembers that, by the way, because nobody watched WWF Mania
I
apparently
used
except
to.
me, which is
I
why they canceled it.
I did.
Oh, you do remember that?
Yeah.
All right, finally, somebody who remembers it. So yeah, he ended up getting 25, so it wasn't much off from where you originally had. But he didn't come out. They made it seem like that was going to be Bret Hart because of Bret's leg. They said that must have been Bret Hart. But then Bret comes out at number 27. There it is again, number 27. Lex Luger is attacked in the back by the Great Kabuki. Oh, it wasn't Muta's mist. It was Kabuki's mist. So Kabuki's mist was what was coming out of that urn. Kabuki and Tenru, who they acted like had never been there before, even though he wrestled at WrestleMania 7 in '91. But the two of them, they attack Lex Luger. So Luger, it's questionable if he's going to come out, but Luger no sells it, comes out perfectly fine. How about coming out acting like you're hurt, Lex? Um, Lex comes out at number 23. Brett and Luger go over the ring at the exact same time, brilliantly timed, by the way, and they are both eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
So the logical thing would be let him get back in the ring and try again. No, we're going to go back and forth on this as to who won this thing. And finally, the announcement that they both won.
Mm-hmm.
This would set up the matches for WrestleMania: Brett versus Owen Hart,
Mm-hmm.
and Luger versus Yokozuna for the title, and then Brett versus the winner, and Brett would end up facing Yoko and winning the title. Very weird stuff going on there, but good stuff. Yep. Anything to add to 94?
Nope.
Oh, I will add actually. Greg the Hammer Valentine comes out and he's wearing red and yellow, and he's got the blonde hair. And for a second, people thought he was Hulk Hogan. They cheered, and then when they realized it was Hammer, they stopped cheering. But he was still excited because he thought, "Yeah, they like me." And then he realized, "Oh wait, they thought it was somebody else." Anything to add?
Go ahead.
Nothing to add?
No.
Okay.
No,
95.
No, I'm reading the text. Sorry, bro. I'm reading some text.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I thought you were getting mad. I'm like,
Oh, no.
We're getting heat here.
No.
95. Jerry Lawler and Vince McMahon doing commentary. This is the worst Royal Rumble in history, pay-per-view wise, match wise. It just sucks. Mm-hmm. Pamela Anderson is there though. Speaking of sucking. Anyway, Lawrence Taylor shoves Bam Bam Bigelow, or I'm sorry, Bam Bam Bigelow shoves Lawrence Taylor after Lawrence Taylor laughs at Bam Bam for missing his spot off the top rope. And this is where, for the first time in history, we felt realism. And this is the highlight of the whole show, by the way. You can skip the whole show except this.
Yep.
Vince throws down his headset. Vince was never revealed to be the owner of the company or anything. So why Vince McMahon is going crazy is a question to the audience who doesn't know anything. Vince throws down the headset as soon as Bam Bam Bigelow pushes Lawrence Taylor. Mm-hmm. And Jerry Lawler can be heard, but not on the mic. Jerry Lawler's heard talking to somebody in the room saying, Vince just left the room. I don't know. Go, cut to something. Come on. We need something. Go to something. Yep. And then they cut to clips of Todd Pettingill talking about the 1994 Royal Rumble and the ending. And then they cut back to Vince sitting in the booth with Lawler. And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize for that incident. I want to apologize to Lawrence Taylor. Mm-hmm. And things will happen to be to replicate this. And he's just like going on about this. And it's like, wow, this feels real. So props to them on setting that up the way they did. And I know when we eventually do WrestleMania stuff, man, Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow to me is totally underrated. But yeah, then we cut to the Royal Rumble match. This is the shortest Royal Rumble match in history, by the way, because every 60 seconds, another guy will enter. Why? Because 20 of the 30 men are jobbers.
Yep.
That's how thin the roster was. Somebody today on another forum I'm on, they posted the January Pro Wrestling Illustrated from 95, and it had Tatanka on there. And they're like, Tatanka made the cover of a Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I said, keep in mind, this is the same month that they did 20 jobbers in the Royal Rumble. They had nobody on the roster. So HBK gets number 1. Mm-hmm. British Bulldog gets number 2. Both these men lasted 38 minutes in the match, which isn't even a record. Because as we just seen, people were lasting an hour. They were lasting. It's not a record. Shawn Michaels wins, but he lasted 38 minutes to win the match. Pat Patterson has stated, and it's a lie, that Shawn was out there for over an hour. No, Pat, he wasn't. He was out there for 38 minutes. DiBiase, Greg Valentine, Rick Martel, Bob Backlund, Ric Flair, all these guys were out there longer than 38 minutes in previous years. By the way, Mo and Owen Hart are out in 3 seconds each. Mm-hmm. Just missing the Warlords 2 seconds.
Yep.
And by the way, 7 guys, yes, I wrote down these stats. 7 guys were out in less than a minute. 7 guys. 9 guys were out in less than 2 minutes. King Kong Bundy. You know how long King Kong Bundy lasted? 3 minutes. King Kong Bundy. He was eliminated by Mabel. And then guess what? Mabel was eliminated in 2 minutes.
Mhm. Wasn't this the first time, the first Royal Rumble where all of a sudden, people were ganging up on the big giant guys, and Mabel they
No,
ganged up on him?
not even really. The only one they ganged up on was Mabel. Or I'm sorry, not Mabel. No, actually, that was the year earlier. That was '94. So no, nobody ganged up on anybody because they didn't have enough guys in the ring.
Yeah.
Luger came in and single-handedly eliminated Mabel. Mabel single-handedly eliminated Bundy.
No, that was one
So
that was one of the things that I've noticed with a couple of the Royal Rumbles was that, um the Royal Rumble is supposed to be where, every 2 minutes, whatever, where, at some point the ring is going to be filled with guys. It's going to be a melee. And I've noticed that, like with this Royal Rumble, it was like there wasn't enough guys in the ring. It was just like,
well, what was funny too is because the Blues Brothers, Jacob and Eli, the Harris brothers,
mhm,
they made their debut at this Rumble, and they weren't in the ring at the same time. So the audience legitimately looked confused
yeah,
because they don't have the commentary team telling them that these two are twins.
yeah,
And they thought, why did the guy who just got eliminated and went to the back, why is he coming back out?
exactly.
But no, I mean, right there, you got Jacob and Eli Blue. You got Barbarian going under a different name, being known as Simone. What? Why? I don't know. Different name for one night only. You got the Heavenly Bodies. No offense to them, but come on, they're not WWE guys. They're jobbers in WWE because they're Smoky Mountain guys. You got Mantar, Aldo Montoya, Dick Murdoch is in this match for some reason. Nobody had a chance of winning except Sean and Brett were there the whole match. It kept coming down to just those two, by the way. They kept eliminating everybody and letting it just come to, are you kidding me? Yeah, I cannot believe it's back to Shawn Michaels and British Bulldog who started the match. Yeah, because everybody else sucked, so you wanted to get the jobbers out of the ring as fast as possible. And then Luger, he lasted a little while longer. He lasted like 8 minutes, and then he was eliminated.
Mhm.
This whole match was a joke, but the finish was cool, I guess, to establish the both feet rule. Because Shawn Michaels goes over the top, and they're like, and Shawn Michaels has been eliminated. And they cut the camera to Bulldog and play Bulldog's music while Shawn's actually still in because only 1 foot touched. And he gets back in and throws out the Bulldog and wins.
Mhm.
And then he celebrates with Pam Anderson as they go off the air. Anything to add?
No, I'm telling you, I'm reading the text. I'm
I hate
listening.
this show. It's horrible.
No. I mean, look, it's it's crazy. I'm still thinking about the blues, the Blues Brothers. You know what I mean? Like, because I was, even though I was,
At least somebody is.
no, well, here's the thing. Is like, you know, I, I have never met a set of twins before in my life, right? At the time,
I have.
okay. I didn't even know that twins were a thing. Okay, I didn't even know twins were a thing, and at least identical twins. Identical twins. I've met fraternal twins, but as far as identical twins, I didn't know that was possible. I thought all twins would look differently. So I was in that same boat of like, look, it's the same guy. It's the same guy. Why are they calling him a different name? What's going on? And it wasn't until after the Rumble when they finally put him on regular TV, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
See,
That's
I'm talking about though, even the live audience, they didn't even hear them being called a different name. They just were
yeah,
like, who the heck is, why is the same guy coming out?
yeah, yeah.
They're dressed exactly the same, even.
Exactly. It was just,
It was stupid,
you
but
ever notice and if you notice, they kind of pulled off the same trick with the Bellas.
they also pulled out the same trick 1 year later, which we're going to get to in a second.
Uh-huh. It's like were they purposely trying to confuse the audience, the crowd? Are they were they trying to
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely what they were trying to do, I think.
like why? It makes no sense because then people are gonna.
This is the same company that in '93 did the multiple doinks.
Yeah.
So.
True.
So '96, Vince McMahon and Mr. Perfect. See what I mean? Every year, a new commentary team. This introduced a free-for-all countdown show that would air on the Preview channel. For those of you who don't remember the Preview channel, which eventually became the TV Guide channel,
Mhm.
and again, you're still saying, what the heck am I talking about? Now you have it as your cable guide on your TV itself automatically, but you used to actually have to watch a channel and wait because it would scroll through to the channels of what was on, and you had to wait all the way till it got to the end before you could see that channel again if you missed it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the top of the screen, they would play shows and infomercials. Here, they played WWF action,
Mm-hmm.
and to establish this as a big deal, they put together a match that everybody wanted to see: Hunter Hearst Helmsley
Yep.
versus Duke the Dumpster Drosy. But they did put a stipulation on it. Why these two guys were chosen for this stipulation, who the heck knows? But the winner of this match was going to receive number 30, and the loser was going to receive number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And Hunter Hearst Helmsley won the match by cheating and got number 30. But then they reversed the decision because he cheated, and they gave him number 1, and Duke gets number 30.
Yep.
This was the night, by the way, I realized that Goldust was Dustin Rhodes. I remember calling my friend Josh and telling him, dude, I just figured out Goldust is. He goes, yeah, Dustin Rhodes. I went, you know? But it was news to me. I didn't realize it until this night. Goldust, by the way, had a match with Razor Ramon. Not good. The whole undercard on this was pretty bad.
Yeah.
The Royal Rumble match is no longer the main event for this event. Triple H, of course, is number 1. He lasted longer than last year's winner, Shawn Michaels, by the way. Henry Godwin is number 2. Jerry Lawler hides under the ring for a half hour in this match. Hey, look at that.
Oh, God, yeah.
Beating Shawn Michaels just by staying under the ring.
That was just plain stupid. I mean, I understand that they did it so Jerry Lawler could get some real heel heat, but
if you notice, the guy who pulled him out from under the ring and eliminated him, Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
But so Jake Roberts comes out with the largest snake ever, and the snake handler's out there with it, and he's trying to get his snake back in the bag. It was really funny. This was the debut of Vader, and he's wearing his outfit backwards. Mm-hmm. The Headhunters, I just mentioned that they did it again. The Headhunters.
Yep.
2 twins.
Yeah.
Back-to-back numbers, by the way. Again, what is with this?
Well, here's the thing with me, even now, and thinking about what I was thinking back then, I was like, well, okay, that makes sense, back to back, because at least you see it's 2 different guys, and they're entering the ring.
And well, one comes in, he lasts 1 minute.
Well.
And then he goes to the back as his partner's coming out, and they both walk back in the ring, get back in the ring, and they're both eliminated by one by Yokozuna, one by Vader. The other one, by the way, lasted 20 seconds. So
that's what she said.
The Headhunters, most famous to me, though, ECW, the one went up to the top rope to leap off, and his whole leg shattered like Sid's. He tore his fibula on the top rope and turned to rubber and fell off.
That was that year.
Same year, yeah. 96. So anyway, Duke has number 30. Shawn Michaels comes in at 18 and wins. But no, he did it. I'm sorry. Shawn Michaels is the biggest joke in Royal Rumble history. He won 95 in only 38 minutes. It wasn't a Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. And here he comes in, number 18. Vader and Yoko get eliminated by Shawn Michaels, which ticked off Vader because they were supposed to have a big spot between those two to set up their WrestleMania match, which didn't end up happening either. And Shawn comes over and takes it upon himself to throw them both over the top.
Yeah. Vader
gets back in the ring, throws Shawn, he lifts Shawn above his head and throws him over the top and goes, "There, pretty boy, win now." Because that's throwing out the kayfabe right there, telling everybody that Shawn Michaels is supposed to win. And then Vader's just eliminating everybody. The only guy who didn't get eliminated in that mix was Owen Hart, who went through the ropes. Everybody else was eliminated. Guru Uematsu comes out, gets Vader out of the ring, and then they let everybody come back in and say, "Oh, it doesn't count because Vader was eliminated." Even though every Rumble before and after this, you could eliminate a guy whether you were in the match or not. But they did that, and then Shawn won. They altered the rules on the fly for 92. They altered it here. It's getting ridiculous. It's whenever it's convenient.
Yep.
After the match, Diesel has a stare down with Taker, and then Undertaker has this match with Bret Hart. Diesel comes back out, yanks the referee out of the ring, causing a disqualification, costing Undertaker the match, tells him I ain't afraid of the dark, and he flips off Taker and walks away, setting up their WrestleMania match. Anything to add to 96?
The only thing that I wanted to add was that later on when they start giving Undertaker the powers of lightning, you know what I mean? And and after the 2000s, it would have been really cool if they had the ability in '96 that when Diesel flipped off the Undertaker and he's walking off, Undertaker would have done that lightning spot and they're like, oh shit, I mean, oh shoot, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it would have
that'd
been
be.
cool, but they wanted to leave it at Diesel being having the upper hand since he wouldn't have it for the rest of the angle.
Mhm.
Undertaker, by the way, at this point was still wearing that mask after being set on fire.
Mm,
And I will mention too, it was Steve Austin's first Royal Rumble, and he
mhm.
was actually supposed to have a long roll. He was supposed to last for a long time, but he fell out of the ring. He recently admitted in one of his podcasts
Yeah, I remember
that he
hearing
fell
that.
out of the ring, and it actually is mentioned in commentary too, because at one point, uh, Mr. Perfect goes, "Hey, what happened to the ringmaster, McMahon?" And McMahon goes, "He must have got eliminated at some point." And then they show the replay of it,
Yeah.
and it looked bad.
Yeah. No, I mean it was one of those I goofed up. I goofed it up. It's like if for anybody that really wants to hear Stone Cold's thoughts on that, you got to go to his podcast and find it. You got to find it because he gets into details of how he was feeling at the time, and it was just it was
Yeah, he felt like he killed his whole push, and then he was never
exactly.
going to make it in the business because of that one
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, so it was just one of those
And we
things that.
saw that would not be the case.
Yeah. No,
Just a few
definitely.
months later, in fact, King of the Ring. But
Yeah, yep.
yeah, so 1997, the
Mhm,
commentary team, we're getting closer to that team. We now have Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross together, but Vince McMahon's joining them.
mhm,
Free for All again is back, and we see a mini match featuring three brothers. Now, this is a story you may or may not know. There's Mini LaParca and a partner versus Mini Mankind and Mini Vader. Mini Vader and Mini Mankind are actually twin brothers,
mhm.
and they are actually brothers with the guy who was on the other team, the Mini LaParca. The two twins were both murdered in 2009. Did you know this?
No, I did not know that.
Mini
I did
Vader
not
and Mini
know.
Mankind, they were murdered in 2009.
Wow. Did they get murdered in Mexico or?
Yes, it was
Okay.
in Mexico. But yeah, they were actually brothers with the guy on the other team, the Mini LaParca.
Wow.
Yeah, I do my research for this, people. Learned this for this. The undercard for this show was in Texas, San Antonio,
Mhm,
and the undercard was loaded with AAA matches and matches with guys who also had to work the Rumble and do matches because the card was very thin here. They
mhm,
were banking on the main event, which is not the Royal Rumble match.
mhm,
Royal Rumble match starts. Number one is Crush.
mhm.
He's no longer Demolition Crush. He's no longer Kona Crush. He's no longer the villain Crush from Mr. Fuji.
Mhm.
He's now a gangster Crush. This
Yep.
is pre Nation of Domination, even though a lot
Mhm,
of people don't realize it because he never changed his look between the two.
mhm,
Uh, Number two was Ahmed Johnson,
mhm.
and Stone
Where'd
Cold
you
comes out.
where'd you Johnson? Sorry.
Stone Cold comes out number five and
Mhm.
starts dominating the ring, similar to Diesel. This is really cool.
Yep.
But then Jake Roberts comes out.
Yep.
Bro, I still have never gotten my answer on this.
Mhm.
Jake Roberts brings out a bag draped over his shoulder,
Yep.
throws it in the ring.
Yep.
The bag's empty.
Mhm,
The only assumption I could ever have is that because Jake didn't bring us at this point, Jake wasn't having a snake with him.
mhm.
He was just having somebody bring the snake to each show.
Yep.
They were that like we saw the year earlier with the handler because that was the handler snake.
Mhm.
But the only thing I could think of is whoever they had hired to bring the snake didn't bring one.
Mhm.
But why bring a bag?
Uh,
And Jerry
it,
Lawler even is playing it off that there's a snake in that bag, and there's not.
well, as far as I remember, because I remember, excuse me, um, Jake the Snake Roberts is one of my Facebook friends. Okay, and when we first became Facebook friends, I wrote to him and he wrote back and we were talking back and forth about a lot of different things, and I actually asked him about it, and it wasn't as far as I remember from what he told me, it wasn't his idea. he thought it was gonna look stupid, but it was, it was a call from Vince of, you know what, take the bag anyway. Make it look like, it was just, he was totally against the idea.
Couldn't they have at least put something in the bag to make it look like it
No,
had this thing?
exactly. They,
Like they did when the Earthquake jumped on Damien and it was actually pantyhose stuffed with freaking hamburger meat.
yeah, they could have done some,
It's like, come on,
I
do
mean,
something.
and I get it that it's not
Get a
like,
rubber snake, anything. Just put
yeah,
something in the bag so it
yeah,
doesn't look empty.
yeah. I mean, the thing is if it's like even if they couldn't do the pantyhose with hamburger meat, because it was literally a last second thing. It wasn't like they knew ahead of time. It was like they were waiting on the snake handler or whatever, and whatever happened. But shit, I'm sorry for the swearing, but shoot, damn it, get a bunch of towels, from the locker
Yeah,
room,
get
and
something,
clothes,
anything.
something, fill that sucker up and do it. Like, have it, wait, because you could tell that the bag itself, it was empty.
It's empty.
It made no sense. And again, Jake, he was telling me was that he was ticked off. You know,
Well, I know a lot of people's like, who cares every time I bring this up, but it matters to me. If you're gonna do something in wrestling, make it make sense or don't do it at all.
exactly.
It's just how I am. But anyway, so Undertaker draws number 30. This is the first time he would draw number 30, not the last. We'll get more into that later on. Lights go out, though, for his entrance, which drove me nuts, too, because there's a match going on, and you literally turn all the lights off in the building for Undertaker to make his entrance.
Hmm?
Stupid. Steve Austin gets eliminated by Bret Hart, but the refs don't see it. Stupid autocorrect changed that to the Reds don't see it. I guess the Russians are out there, but so the refs didn't see it because they were busy with Cactus Jack, with Mankind and Terry Funk, and because of that, Austin gets back in and he eliminates everybody and wins the match again. Austin had number 5 and won the match. Brett goes crazy and goes and attacks Vince, telling him, "What are you going to do about this?" And JR's like, "What are we supposed to do? We're the announcers." And then Shawn Michaels comes out to his hometown crowd and defeats Sid Vicious to win the title. Yep. Another bad Rumble. But moving on to 98, we have our team that would eventually become the team. They're still not the team yet, but JR and Jerry Lawler are the team of the year 98. Sonny refereed a mini match. They're really giving a push to Max Mini at this point. Remember Max Mini?
I remember Max Mini. I was actually
there was even jokes on top because they had the blimp that would go across the sky. They would be like, "Hey, Max Mini's in there," but
yeah, it was the mini Goodyear blimp thing. Yeah,
but yeah, Max Mini was getting a push at this point until they got rid of the division. The Rock wrestled Ken Shamrock. Questionable finish as The Rock actually reaches inside Ken Shamrock's tights and stuffs the brass knuckles that he used on Shamrock in them. And then he tells the referee that Shamrock used brass knucks on him, and they check Shamrock's tights, and sure enough, Shamrock finds the knucks in there. He didn't realize anything was in his pants. It's just really weird. New Age Outlaws. I was just watching an old interview today with Road Dogg trying to say that they got their push with the dumpster match at WrestleMania 14, but no, the big push came from this. They actually attacked the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom. First time, by the way, they actually mentioned the Road Warriors, but it was because Jim Cornette said it, and Jim actually got in trouble for it. Because on commentary, he goes, "In all the years I've seen these guys together, I've never seen anybody treat the Road Warriors like this." And yeah, he got in trouble for saying Road Warriors instead of Legion of Doom. But they shaved the mustache off of Hawk, and they shaved the mohawk rather off of Hawk, and it was really like embarrassing that they did this. And then they had this match at the Rumble where the Outlaws won, made LLD really look like garbage. LLD would leave for a while and return at WrestleMania as the LLD 2000 with Sonny as their manager. But that was really the push for the Outlaws to me, to make them like, hey, who are these guys? You know, you got to pay attention to them. Austin was a marked man going into this, as he was constantly attacking everybody. People like The Rock got a beeper and he got a 316 message and stuff, and everybody was getting attacked. So they all want Austin. So all night long backstage, everybody's trying to attack Austin. And then at one point, they think they got Austin, but it's actually Skull and 8 Ball, the Return of the Blues Brothers. They thought he was Austin, which would cause Skull later on the no show, which we'll get into in a minute. But everybody's attacking Austin. They all want to go after Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rumble match starts. Cactus Jack is number 1. Chainsaw Charlie is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And The Rock comes in at number 4 as one of my favorite moments in Rumble history, where he gets hit over and over again with a bunch of punches. And he's like, yeah, they don't hurt. And he turns around and takes a trash can right to the head from Cactus Jack and makes a great sound and makes a huge dent, which JR, he goes, look at the dent in the trash can. So it's good stuff. This Rumble would feature all 3 faces of Mick Foley. Cactus Jack gets eliminated by Chainsaw Charlie. Mankind then comes out and he eliminates Chainsaw Charlie to get back at him for eliminating Cactus Jack, but then Mankind gets eliminated and later on Dude Love comes out. So Mick pulled the triple header here. What would he have done if he didn't get eliminated as those other 2, by the way? What would happen?
That would have been interesting.
See, that's the problem with it. That's where it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, you know.
So Austin was the marked man at first. When Austin first Skull no showed, they said that was Austin. Mm-hmm. I heard Ken Shamrock attack them, and I'm like, Ken Shamrock? That's random. So then Austin's music hits. Everybody stops what they're doing. Austin comes from the crowd, starts attacking people, eliminates Mark Merrill, eliminates the Honky Tonk Man. Yeah, Honky Tonk Man was in this. But then all of a sudden, everybody stops attacking Austin. I thought it was a marked man. Why is everybody not fighting him? You know, this would also be a bigger problem the year after, which I'll get to in a minute. But so then Austin wins by eliminating The Rock. And of course, we get that epic line from Jim Ross. Stone Cold Stunner and The Rock is gone. Stone Cold is going to WrestleMania. And of course, everybody quotes that. So that was a big deal. But again, the Royal Rumble's not the main event. The main event is Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker in a casket match. This is where Shawn Michaels would injure his back. Karma from the Montreal Screwjob. But he took the backdrop on the casket and messed up his back so bad that he would work this match. He'd work the WrestleMania match with Steven, and he would leave and not return until 2022. I'm sorry, not 2022. That's not even here yet. 2002.
You're seeing the future, brother. You're seeing something in the future.
Fairly so. And then Kane would come out and set the casket on fire with his brother inside. And that's how they went off the air. We good on 98. 99. New commentary team, Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole. The first time we got to deal with that idiot, Michael Cole.
Yeah.
We got the Rock and Mankind and an I Quit match. This match is hard to watch. I hate this match. Hate this match. It's so over the top and unnecessary with all the chair shots that Rock gave to Mankind. It's ridiculous. I do love the promo leading into it. Mick Foley saying about how I will never say I quit. I will not say them here nor there. I will not say them anywhere. I will not say those words you twit. I cannot say I quit. That's good stuff. Yeah. So anyway, Austin's a marked man again, because this time Vince McMahon does this whole deal of Stone Cold is going to be the first entrant into the Rumble. And he goes, I myself will enter the Royal Rumble at number 30. And he's like, and anybody who eliminates Austin, I will make them $100,000 richer. So I remember this playing on radio ads. This was the first time wrestling was like this big. Yep. Like radio ads were playing how the Royal Rumble was going to have this $100,000 bounty on Steve Austin's head. I was like, this is huge. Everybody was talking about this show, and it did not live up to its hype. Shawn Michaels, who was commissioner, he would end up changing Vince's number to number 2. Yep. So Austin's number 1, Vince's number 2. Everybody's like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. First time Vince is stepping into the ring. Yep. These two come out and immediately leave the ring and go to the back and fight in the women's bathroom where Austin's attacked. Now there's nobody in the ring. Okay. Do you know how many times there were nobody in the ring? 6 times. in this match, there's nobody in the ring because that happens.
Yep.
And then also we got a brawl going on. We got some guys in the ring, and then out comes Kane and eliminates everybody in the ring. And then a bunch of white coats come out from the mental hospital, and Kane jumps out of the ring and eliminates himself. I thought you couldn't do that. So he's gone. Now there's nobody in the ring. We start getting some more guys in the ring, and then Viscera comes out. Well, at the time he was Mabel. Mabel eliminates everybody, and then Mabel, the lights go out, come back on. Mabel's eliminated by the ministry. They weren't corporate ministry yet. And so now the ring's empty again, and I'm just like, there's no action going on in the ring. How can anybody be entertained by this match? It's horrible. Well, almost all of the match, there's nothing going on in the ring.
And you can, and you would have to put yourself in the mindset of the crowd in the arena. Like, what the
F? That's my point. And I actually talked to some people who were there.
Okay.
They said that they entertain themselves. And I see that on camera because, like, when the Gangrel comes out, these guys in the front row are, like, swinging back and forth, like swaying, no pun intended to you, but they're swaying back and forth. And it's really funny. Val Venus comes out. This guy in the crowd takes off his shirt, wraps the towel around his waist, and starts doing the Val Venus pose and dance in the crowd. Yeah. They're entertaining themselves because there's nothing to watch.
Exactly.
It's so bad. It's horrible. I don't know how. If 95 was not as bad as it is, this would be the worst Rumble ever.
Yeah.
This one at least has more entertaining spots than 95, so I'll give this one the edge on it just slightly better than 95. But again, we'll go over those lists next week, the best and worst lists. But this is terrible. China is the first woman in a Rumble in this match, eliminated by Austin. And then Vince comes back and he's doing commentary throughout the whole match. So there you go again. Now we got Vince on commentary.
Yep.
And then Austin drives an ambulance back from the hospital and comes back. Again, what happened to this? How can you not be eliminated if you went to the hospital? How are you still in the match?
Yeah.
Vince and Austin end up being the last two, which is ridiculous.
Yep.
They're the first two and they're last two.
Yep.
This is worse than Shawn Michaels and Bridge Bullock being the first and last two. And it's just so bad. They weren't in the match for the whole match, and yet they're there now. And then Vince wins the match. Oh my God, this is terrible. This would have been the year, by the way, like I said before, for Pat Patterson to join the Rumble.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it could have came in and helped Vince. And I really wish that Pat had been in a Rumble. This would have been it. But
coming out to
whatever. 99 sucks. Vince McMahon wins with the help of The Rock.
American.
Terrible.
It would have been perfect if he would have came out to Real American and help Vince. There you go.
Yeah, just instead we got this garbage. Moving on. We go from one of the worst Rumbles to one of the best Rumbles. Pay-per-view wise, this is the best Rumble pay-per-view. There's one bad moment on the whole pay-per-view. Everything else is amazing. The year 2000 commentary team. We're finally on a team that's going to be stable for a while. Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross took all the way to 2000 to get a stable commentary team. Taz makes his debut against Kurt Angle.
Yep.
And Kurt Angle was undefeated at the time. Taz just unbelievable with suplex after suplex after suplex. Finally chokes out Kurt. Kurt loses, but then they rule it that because it was a choke and that's actually illegal, Kurt's still undefeated. But man, what a great debut for Taz. Dudley's come out. This is New York City, Madison Square Garden. Dudleys are hated in New York, as we know. They cut the greatest promo they ever cut in WWE. Not in their career, but in WWE. This was the time when, I'm not going to get into John Rocker's history, but if you want to look up Atlanta Braves pitcher John Rocker, you'll understand Bubba's promo here.
Yep.
When Bubba goes, honestly, my new hero, the greatest pitcher in all of professional baseball, John Rocker, and the New York crowd started booing like crazy. And then Devon doesn't miss a beat with it. If you idiots were smart, you would elect John Rocker as your mayor to clean up this miserable city. It's great stuff there. And then they start badmouthing the Pretty Boy Hardys and Then we get this amazing tables match with the Dudleys and the Hardys. It's so good, man. Love this, all of it. Love the promo. The promo was actually edited on the network. Horrible. I love the original broadcast.
Yeah.
Original broadcast is a way to go on this whole show because there's also an epic freaking opening intro that's not the same on the network as it was the original night with Cactus Jack and Triple H's match setting that up. But just great stuff here. We get the worst part of this night, Mae Young, the bikini contest.
Yeah.
The prosthetic boobs.
Yeah. Don't remind
This
me.
was a month after Miss Kitty showed her boobs, and then we get Mae Young.
Yeah, don't
horrible.
remind me. Don't remind me, please.
But then we get the street fight, Cactus Jack versus Triple H for the title. This is my favorite WWF title match ever.
Yep.
It is so good. It tells a great story. It's hardcore. It's got everything you could ever want in a match. It's just so freaking good. Love it. Then we go to the Rumble match.
Yep.
It's can't live up to what we just saw though. It's just not as good as the street fight.
Exactly.
That's the only thing wrong with this Rumble match, though. D'Lo Brown number 1, Grandmaster Sexay, Brian Christopher number 2, Kai and Tai and the Mean Street Posse keep coming out during the match. They're not even in the match, and they keep getting eliminated. Eventually, Taka gets injured and has to go to the hospital.
Yep.
China's second Rumble, second time that a woman is in the Rumble. Bob Backlund is a surprise entrant in this Rumble.
Yeah, I was
really huge pop.
Yeah, no, I was really shocked, and I was like, "What the heck?"
You hear this presidential music hit, and they're like, "What?"
Exactly.
And Bob Backlund comes out wearing shorts. He's not even freaking wearing wrestling gear.
Exactly.
And then he goes into the crowd after he gets eliminated, like he's campaigning. But X-Pac gets eliminated similar style to Austin, and then he gets back in, but it was pointless because they didn't do anything with that. You know? And then he's eliminated by The Rock in a brutal way and gets hurt, so he would have been better off just staying out. And then The Rock wins at number 24, but there's some controversy with Big Show because Rock's feet touched first. Moving on to 2001, I think we're going to make it. I'm trying to get done before 11, but I think we'll make it. 2001. Oh, did you have anything to add to 2000?
No, I was going to ask up to which one we were going to again?
05.
Okay, go ahead.
So 2001, again, we got Lawler and JR back on commentary. Lowdown, the team led by Tiger Ali Singh. It's Mosh and D'Lo Brown. How is Mosh and D'Lo Brown Muslims? I'm not getting into that. But,
they converted.
So Lowdown,
They converted, obviously.
Yeah. So they win a match on Sunday Night Heat to get an entrant into the Rumble. But then during the pay-per-view, Vince comes up and he goes, "Tiger, did you decide which of your guys is getting the spot in the Rumble?" And he goes, "Well, we're working." He goes, "You don't have to anymore. I'm taking it away from you." So what was the point of the match on Heat?
Exactly.
And then he's like, "Well, Mr. McMahon, I understand your decision, but which athlete do you think is great enough that they could get the spot in the Rumble instead of my two men?" And he goes, "Drew Carey."
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like, Drew Carey? Who is Drew Carey?
I remember.
So Lowdown has a match for a spot that eventually goes to Drew Carey.
Yes.
What the heck? And Vince just admitted he's an athlete. But anyway, so the Dudley Boys, the opening match, face Edge and Christian. This is a great match. Benoit and Jericho's Intercontinental title ladder match. Do I need to explain how amazing this match is? This may be the best ladder match that didn't involve tables or anything. It's just tough as nails, great ladder match. Jericho and Benoit. Jericho, this is the first time he would do it many times after, but he pulls off the balls of Jericho on the ladder. Everything about this match is so good. We get to the Rumble match. Number 1 is Jeff Hardy. I already mentioned that the Hardys, I told you, they would be coming up and driving me nuts in Rumbles. This was the first time. Jeff Hardy, number 1. Bull Buchanan, number 2. Matt Hardy, number 3. Really? Drew Carey comes out at number 5, and the Hardys eliminate themselves. And Drew Carey is the only man in the ring. Jerry Lawler points out, "Hey, do you realize that if there was no other numbers, Drew Carey would have just won the Royal Rumble?" So, like when they're going, it's just ridiculous. Drew's laughing the whole time. He's waving at everybody. And then Kane comes out at number 6. but he just wanders around the ring instead of getting in. He's killing time. And then he gets in the ring. Kane, Drew waves at him and then pulls out some money and tries to pay Kane off. Kane goes to choke slam Drew. Out comes Raven, attacks Kane, saving Drew. Drew jumps over the top rope and leaves. He did a lot, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So Drew's gone, and then Drew yells at Raven, "Yeah, you get him." Honky Tonk Man comes in at number 12 as a surprise, and Jerry Lawler's having an orgasm over his cousin being there.
Yeah.
That's the Honky Tonk Man, JR, the Honky Tonk Man. And then Honky Tonk Man grabs the microphone. "Hold on, big fella. I gotta do my business here. All these people want to hear me sing my song." And so then they play Honky's music and he starts singing. And then Kane takes the guitar out of Honky's hand and smashes it over Honky's head and throws him over top. And Lawler goes, "He hated that song, JR." It's great. The biggest surprise, though, in this match at this point now becomes Big Show, who had been gone because of his obesity.
Mm-hmm.
They sent him to OVW, and he returned here. And Jim Ross was like, "What?
Mm-hmm.
What?" Like, he's like, "Can't believe Big Show's back."
Mm-hmm.
Here's a bigger surprise, though.
Yep.
1 week before this show, WCW had a show where Haku was there as Ming, and he was the hardcore champion, defending it. He never lost the belt, but he's here at the Royal Rumble.
So what?
Yeah, he was still the WCW hardcore champion. He shows up in the Royal Rumble as Haku. They started playing the Head Shrinkers music, and I'm like, Head Shrinkers music? What the heck? And out comes Ming, and they're like, "It's Haku." I'm like, what the heck? I freaking went crazy because I knew he was just in WCW. How's he there?
Yeah.
Huge surprise, in my opinion.
I wonder what happened there. I never heard.
I don't know, but to me, this is the biggest surprise in the history of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I actually called it that. The biggest surprise. Well, at that point, let me point that out. It got topped. But at that point, biggest surprise in the history of the Royal Rumble. I was like, what the heck? Stone Cold comes out at number 27. There's that number again, and he wins. His third win, by the way, and the third person to win with 27. So 3 is also a lucky number for Austin. That's really all to say about 01, unless you had anything to add to it.
Well, I mean, again, and remember we were talking about the Drew Carey thing a couple of times in the past, but okay, again, going back into the lead up of how Drew Carey was given the spot. Okay, all it was McMahon telling Tiger Ali saying, that it's Drew Carey. Okay, now there's no rhyme or reason on why they don't explain why they did it. I mean, we get it now is because Drew.
No, there is a storyline reason why you put Drew in the match.
No, I'm just saying it's like it's for me. It would have been really really cool if Drew Carey they showed a conversation between Carey and Mr. McMahon. Drew Carey is like giving McMahon a bunch of money or something like that or whatever, and.
No. They actually have the storyline. I'll explain it to you. Okay. I skipped over it.
I don't remember seeing the storyline. That's why.
Yeah, I skipped over it, but I'll go back. So this was during the time when Vince was doing his little affair angle with Trish Stratus.
Yeah.
And Trish was seen in the back with Triple H showing her moves, and Steph comes in, and it's a very compromising position to look like Triple H is banging her from behind. He goes, "What the H is this?"
I remember that, yeah.
And then there's a reason for that, why I brought that up. I'll bring it up in a minute. But basically, Steph starts telling Drew Carey, "Hey, you know what? There's this girl, Trish Stratus. She has a huge crush on you." "Oh, yeah, you think so? Yeah, go ask her out." So Drew then goes and asks out Trish, and Trish turns it down. But Vince sees it and gets jealous. And he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" And Vince goes, "Who do you think you are?" He goes, "I'm Drew Carey. I'm here promoting my All-Star Improv that's coming up on pay-per-view. And, I wanted to pick your brain about pay-per-views." And he goes, "Well, you got to give the people what they want." He goes, "In fact, how would you like to be an entrant in the Royal Rumble?" Because he wants to see Drew get hurt because he's mad at Drew now. So Drew goes, "Well, I don't want to get hurt or anything." He goes, "Oh, no, you won't get hurt." And he goes, "Well, all right, yeah, I'll do it, but I don't have any ring gear." He goes, "Oh, I'll take care of that." And then they get him those sweats. Yeah. And then Drew actually has a moment with Kane too, because he's actually sitting backstage and Kane walks in. He goes, "Hey, look, it's the goofy guy with the mask."
Mm-hmm.
And so Kane's mad at him too.
Yep.
but that's the storyline they had. Vince
Okay.
put him in the Rumble to get him hurt, and it didn't
Okay.
work out anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Go
But
ahead.
that's why it was skipped over because it's stupid. But yeah, they did actually have something at least to try and explain it.
Yeah. I still think it would have been funny. It would have been like, because since he was promoting the improv pay per view, it would have been more. It would have been like more plausible for Drew Carey to say, "Hey McMahon, look, I'm trying to advertise. Can I, be in your Rumble? Blah blah blah. Here's some money, but something like that."
Yeah, and by the way, just to add to that
Mm-hmm.
history lesson,
Mm-hmm.
Drew Carey's pay per view did absolutely terrible in buy rates.
Actually, I didn't know about
The
that.
All
Yeah.
Star Improv, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that because I remember after the pay per
He planned the
view.
whole series, and it was just no, it's
Yeah,
not happening.
yeah, no, it was just. I'm not
So
gonna.
let's barrel
Yeah.
through these last three here.
Yep.
We got 02.
Mm-hmm.
We're back with Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross. This is the last time they would be our only team.
Mm-hmm.
Kid Rock's Cocky is the theme song used here, again, not on the network. But it's great because there's some great videos with that song and everything leading into this. On Sunday Night Heat, for this pay-per-view, we get a couple cool things that happen. Al Snow revealed his number on Heat. I thought that was a cool concept because it was like exclusive to anybody watching that show. But Kurt Angle comes out to cut a promo, and it's in Atlanta, Georgia, where he won his gold medal. So they think he's going to be over, and the crowd's wetting him like crazy. Kurt legitimately had a babyface promo scheduled for this.
Mm-hmm.
It turned heel, legitimately. Kurt just started losing his stuff. He didn't know how to handle this crowd, and he starts going, or a bunch of freaking morons who keep saying what every 5 seconds. And he's like, what, you bunch of hicks. And he's just telling them off about how they married their cousins. And he just starts going off on the people, and they're booing him harder.
Mm-hmm.
So Jerry Lawler stands up, Kurt, hold on. He tries to save the promo.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts saying even how, we got a lot of guys making a return tonight. We got Goldust back in. We got the Godfather, Val Venus, Mr. Perfect's back tonight. And he's going on and on about all the guys who need to win this match. And he goes, but when Vegas called me for my royal prostration of who's going to win the Royal Rumble, it's that man right there, Kurt Angle. And they're still booing him. And JR's like, good try there, Kurt. Good try there, Jerry. It's not working. He's trying desperately to get Angle over. And he goes, instead of chanting, you suck tonight, I want y'all to chant Angle. And they're just not having any of it, but they tried.
Yeah. What can you do?
And it's a good promo because Kurt really healed on them badly.
Yeah.
So the show opens with the Dudleys versus Taz and Spike Dudley. This is actually a really good match, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So people always say Taz only had one good match in WWE, which was the one with Angle at Rumble 2000. No, this is his other good one.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I will admit the Jerry Lawler Taz feud was horrible. And, of course, the Jim Ross versus Taz match that we don't ever speak of.
No.
But
that's the match that should never be mentioned. Okay.
Yes. Even though we just mentioned it. Jericho versus The Rock. Terrible match, but what an amazing build-up video to this. With Rock doing his whole shtick and Jericho going, no, this is not a joke. I am not a joke. It's good stuff. But the match was horrible. As I mentioned, the Royal Rumble sees the return of Goldust, Godfather, and Val Venus, who were both in the right to censor as Goodfather, and that's why now they're back now in their regular characters.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Perfect back in the WWE for the first time since '96. Big deal there. The Rumble match, number 1, Rikishi. Number 2 is Goldust, who's making his return. Undertaker comes in at number 8. Eliminates everybody, proclaiming this is his yard.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, Matt Hardy. You know who number 10 is?
I can look it up.
I'll give you one guess without looking it up. Jeff Hardy.
Oh, God.
I told you, Hardys. They drive me nuts in these Rumbles with their numbers right next to each other. How did they keep doing this?
Mm.
So Taker takes out the Hardys, gets rid of them.
Mm.
And number 11 comes out, and it's Maven.
Yeah.
Tough enough winner, Maven.
Yeah.
The Hardys and Lita distract Undertaker. This is my favorite moment in the history of the Royal Rumble.
Mhm.
Maven drop kicks the Undertaker. Undertaker over the top, eliminate. Jim Ross goes nuts. Oh my God, Maven from Tough Enough just eliminated the Undertaker. And the crowd is going insane. And Taker's just got this look like, no, you didn't. Why is it my favorite moment? Because I live for moments I did not see coming. And tell me that anybody saw Maven eliminating Undertaker before it happening, and I'll call you a freaking liar right to your face. Nobody saw it coming.
Yeah, personally, I expected Maven just to do a job. Like, you know, he'll go in and then Taker will take him out. That's what I expected. Personally,
Absolutely.
Because he's the new guy. He just signed with
Which is what happened too. Taker did take him out, but
yeah. But it's like
I'll admit though, back then, because Jim Ross says how Maven was never eliminated, he was thrown through the ropes, not over the top, and then he was thrown over the top, and he goes, but Taker's not eligible to eliminate anybody. I kept saying, man, they're gonna have Maven come back and win this thing.
Yeah.
That's how stupid I was back then, but no.
No, but it was one of those things where you did not expect it. Again, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was pulling for Maven because when I was watching Tough Enough, right? He was my favorite guy. I was hoping for him to win it. And I'm glad,
definitely.
Yeah, and I'm glad he won it. And then he comes out, but I did not expect that moment to happen. And when it happened, I popped big time. I was screaming to the top of my lungs, and it was just like, wow. It was really cool.
I could literally watch that clip a million times and never get sick of it. It's so good.
Same here, bro. Same here.
Mr. Perfect steals the show. Absolutely amazing. How the heck do you have Kurt Hennig and Kurt Angle in the same company now at the same time and not put them together against each other at WrestleMania?
Thank you.
Who the heck was booking?
Thank you.
Who was booking? And I'm sorry, but Mr. Perfect, by the way, worked in the freaking tag match on the Sunday Night Heat before Mania, and Kurt Angle worked with Kane. What the heck? I can't stress enough how angry it makes me that they put Kurt Angle and Kane together in one of the worst WrestleMania matches when they could have gave us a classic of Mr. Perfect versus Kurt Angle.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
It would have been the best freaking match on that card at WrestleMania. And WrestleMania 18, let's face it, had The Rock and Hogan. I think The Rock and Hogan would have had a run for its money with Angle and Perfect.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly.
There's no way that Angle and Perfect wasn't going to deliver, and these idiots didn't book it. Austin mentioned the creative team was so stupid back then, and that right there is your freaking proof of it.
Exactly.
Unbelievably stupid. They had a moment in the Rumble even that I was like, this is the setup right here. Then we're going to get WrestleMania. We're going to get Perfect and Angle, and we didn't get it.
Exactly.
RVD makes his debut in this Rumble. Well, not the debut of him in the company, but the debut in this Rumble, his first time in. And he's a freaking house of fire, taking out everybody with rolling thunders and 5-star frog splashes. He takes a pedigree from Triple H and he's down for about 10 minutes after that. And he can't move. Really?
Yeah.
And then Booker T comes in, picks up Van Dam and throws him over top. The whole crowd freaking starts booing their heads off. Because, come on, really?
Yeah.
He couldn't recover from a pedigree?
Exactly.
I called it the pedigree of death because it killed Rob Van Dam. But
worse than the finger poke of doom.
Kane lifts up the Big Show in a body slam form and walks 6 steps with him to the ropes and dumps him over the top. Wow.
That's strength.
We have the moment. Triple H, by the way, it's supposed to be every 2 minutes. Another guy comes out. Triple H was making his return from injury here. You know how long Triple H's entrance was when his number came up?
About 3 minutes.
3.5 minutes.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
But it's supposed to be every 2 minutes another guy.
Exactly.
And then he even works a little while after the entrance before the next guy. Pathetic. So Austin and Triple H are the only 2 guys in the ring, and out comes the Hurricane.
Yep.
And both guys are down, and Hurricane comes in and he can pick them apart. And he goes to give them both a double choke slam, and they look at him, and then they just grab his head and they together throw him over the top rope, and he flew. Great stuff.
Yep.
And then eventually Triple H wins with number 22, eliminating Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 02. 02 is so good. I love it. I really enjoy that Rumble. The only thing I have problems with that Rumble is that Godfather 2 got a really long entrance because he brought out like the freaking 20 something girls because now he's got his escort service. So he got like a 3-minute entrance too.
Yep.
And they keep cutting the camera away from the ring to show the guys' entrances. That really aggravated me. It's like, show me the ring. I want to watch the match,
Exactly.
you know? So
Exactly.
I have some issues with it on those little issues.
Yeah,
but
it's like I say, as soon as you see them come through the curtain, if they're gonna have a long entrance, whatever, once they come through the curtain, you know what? Go back to the ring. Let them do whatever they got to do for the crowd. But I want to see what's happening in the ring.
I want to watch the match, right?
Exactly.
I'm watching the Royal Rumble to watch the Royal Rumble, but whatever. So 03, we now have 2 commentary teams. We got Raw and SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross are for Raw, but Michael Cole and Taz for SmackDown. Brock Lesnar beats the Big Show in the opening match to earn his spot into the Royal Rumble. The Scott Steiner Triple H match I mentioned earlier about the pose down they did in the build-up. The build-up video here is great if you don't watch it on the network. Because the song that they used, I can't remember what it was, but it was really good. But in this build-up video package is just amazing. I love it. I love those old video packages. Angle versus Benoit. This is a precursor for Benoit eventually becoming champion. This match is off the charts. It's so good. And Benoit at the end of it gets a standing ovation, even though he didn't beat Angle for the title. Rumble match. Shawn Michaels gets number 1 because he asked to have it because he wanted to try and win at number 1 again. Jericho wanted number 1, but he was mad to find out Shawn already got it, so Jericho took number 2. Christian comes out, however, on the entrance, pretending to be Jericho, and Jericho attacks from behind and eliminates Shawn Michaels, which helps build to Mania. And then Michaels would come out later and eliminate Jericho. Chris Nowinski, sadly, was injured in this match when he took a bad bump from Rey Mysterio and Edge, and it would be the beginning of the end of his career. Man, he had so much potential. Nowinski could have been one of the greatest heels of all time. Didn't get that chance. And then Tommy Dreamer comes out with a bunch of Cinnabore canes, hits Jericho right in the freaking face, causing a huge welt on Jericho's forehead. Jericho gets mad, takes the cane, and gets his receipt by just beating the tar out of Dreamer's back and then throwing Dreamer over the top. Yep. And then for the rest of the match, because Jericho's out there for like another half hour, he has this huge freaking swelling, bleeding welt all over his head. It's very ugly. Bad night for injuries in this match. Matt Hardy comes out at number 13. Jeff Hardy, number 15. Really? See what I mean, bro?
Again.
John Cena comes out, and this is wrapping John Cena heel. Cuts this amazing promo, which at one point he makes no sense. Talks about goes off and then says, "I'm a battle rap you naked with no clothes off." How are you naked if you got no clothes off?
Yeah.
But then he ends it with it's all this stuff. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he's like, "I'm like a swollen penis. You just can't beat me." And then JR is just like, 30 seconds of what the heck did he say? And then Jerry Lawler's like, "Well, I gotta repeat that last part, JR." Undertaker for the second time has number 30. A lot of people disappointed here. They thought it was going to be old school Undertaker, and it was actually still Biker Taker. Maven goes and hits the drop kick on Taker. Taker stops from going over the ring. Taker now, Maven's got his back turned and he's cheering, "Yeah, 2 years in a row." And Taker's standing right behind him. Maven turns around, takes a choke slam, and gets thrown out by Taker. And of course, Brock Lesnar comes out at number 29 and wins the match. At one point, by the way, Lesnar eliminates Taker just about, but I guess he wasn't supposed to eliminate him yet. So he actually saves Taker, and it looks really bad. It's like, why would he save him? You know? But it was because it was too early for Taker to go over, and he realized Taker was going to go. So, other than that, nothing to add to 03 unless you have something.
I'm good, brother. You're good.
All right, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. We're going to try and get this done in 10 minutes. 04, team again, same team. We got Jerry Lawler and JR for Raw and Cole and Taz for SmackDown. We got Lesnar versus Hardcore Holly, which came organically. due to the fact that Brock Lesnar legitimately broke Hardcore Holly's back and in a match that they had, and so the storyline wrote itself that, hey, let's bring Hardcore Holly back and have him Lesnar. Oh, Lesnar's champion. Oh well, Hardcore Holly gets a title shot. It's too organic not to go anywhere with it. Because see, they're smart enough to realize that an organic feud can come. Unlike WCW, who didn't capitalize on Vader tearing off Cactus Jack's ear, but Triple H and HBK have a last man standing match. This match is just disgusting. It's the only way to put it. It's just the two guys bleeding all over each other, and it's really boring and not good.
Right.
But Rumble match, again, we get an amazing promo that's just not the same if you don't hear the I've got nothing left to lose music that's not on the network. It just worked so well, though, with Paul Heyman telling him, Benoit, you will never win the Royal Rumble. And Benoit earns his way. He goes, well, you won the Rumble? Then you are the number one entrant. And it's like just building everything against Benoit. So Benoit is number one. Orton's got number two. Ernest Cat Miller is in this Royal Rumble. Comes out and dances to somebody, Call My Mama. And then gets thrown over the top. Does nothing.
And okay,
thanks for coming.
Just here's okay. I want to say this real quick. Okay, for anybody that thought that Brodus Clay was the first one to come out to Somebody Call My Mama, no, Ernest the Cat Miller. He was the one that made that famous in everything. First in WWE and other, but he was like, Somebody Call My Mama. And it was just...
He was using that gimmick in WCW even because he had it on his back. Exactly. He didn't have that music, but he had Somebody Call My Mama.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's why they wrote the music for him.
Exactly.
And then it was used for R-Truth.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, not R-Truth. It was Consequences Creed.
Oh, okay.
Who would later become Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
He came out with it in his debut on WWE TV.
Yep.
But then it would go to Brodus Clay. But anyway, so Mick Foley was in the long-standing thing with Randy Orton and refusing to come out of retirement. And Randy Orton spit in his face, and they challenged him to be at the Rumble. And they set up a front row seat for Foley. And JR even did this thing where if Foley don't show up, he surely is a coward. Well, Test is supposed to come out, and he's not coming out. And then we see Austin in the back with Test going, what the heck are you doing? You just beat up my Rumble entrant. Well, then go out there. You're the new guy out there now. And we're like, who is it? And it's Mick Foley. Why would Foley attack Test? Who knows? Mm-hmm. But Foley comes out, and him and Orton eliminate each other, and they build to probably one of the worst tag matches at WrestleMania, but then they have an amazing match at Backlash. Goldberg has number 30 in the back. Goldberg it comes during a promo with he's cutting a promo on Lesnar, comes in and goes, number 30? Who cares what number Bill Goldberg is? I just won my match with Hardcore Holly. And Goldberg's like, you're nothing but a coward. Ain't that right, Hardcore? And Lesnar looks and he's not there, and he goes, and then Goldberg walks away. So Goldberg comes out number 30 and he's a house of fire, but then Lesnar comes out and costs Goldberg the match, and JR has the line of the night because Goldberg's like, you're next, you son of a bee. And then Jim Ross is just like, and Goldberg just called Lesnar son of a bee. It's so good. Angle dedicated his victory to the troops and he loses, so I guess no dedication is made. Then Benoit wins the match, and what a great Rumble. This was the moment, man. And then Benoit going on to win the title. Really sucks what happened with Benoit, because this was the perfect build up for him. They did the perfect storyline for this. Again, going back to the year previously with that precursor with the Angle and Benoit match, and then all of this, it was just perfect for Benoit. 05. Did you have anything to add to 04?
No, I'm good.
05. We're on our last one. We're going to get through this. Jerry Lawler and JR are on Raw. Hell and Taz on SmackDown again. We have a West Side Story theme going on here. For the West Side Rumble, they called this, and they even did a commercial that was a parody of the West Side Story, which would build to all the parodies that would come later on at WrestleMania Goes Hollywood later in the year. Edge has a match with Shawn Michaels. This is the match where Edge breaks out as a single star. They were told by management they could only have 10 minutes. They asked for 20. They were told 10. Shawn said, we're taking 20. Don't tell them. And that's what they did. And it did cause the Rumble to kind of run late, but they didn't care. And they put on a freaking great match with Edge cheating to get the victory. And this, like I said, this put Edge on the map. This was the start of Edge's big push. And then Edge would go on to WrestleMania, win the Money in the Bank, and then we know where that ended up. So
Mm-hmm.
awesome match, Edge and Shawn Michaels. We get backstage number skit going on. Eddie Guerrero and Ric Flair are going to be the first guys to draw.
Yep.
Eddie draws, Flair draws, gives a woo. Eddie gives a hug to Flair and walks away.
Mm-hmm.
They ask Rick, hey, what number did you get? Rick pulls it out and shows everybody, and they're all looking at him like, you're happy with that number? He goes, of course I'm happy with it. They're like, I think you better take a look at that, Blair. And that's what Teddy Long says.
Mm-hmm.
So he looks at his number, and he's got this look on his face, and he's just like, Guerrero stole my number. So then they go to the back, and like Triple H's like, hey, cough it up, jumping bean, your Mexican jumping bean, and they switch numbers back, and then Teddy's like, Eddie, give him the other thing. He goes, hey, man, what are you talking about? You want to give him a handshake or a high five? No, Eddie, come on. And he pulls out a wallet and hands it to Flair. Flair goes, what? My wallet? My wallet? You son of a bitch. It's just so good. John Cena and Christian have a great moment backstage drawing their numbers. Christian's like, I'm Captain Charisma. I'm the king of crunk. I'm taking you to school, Cena, and you're gonna flunk. Just like Dracula comes from Transylvania. I'm gonna win the Royal Rumble and go on to WrestleMania. And then John Cena repeating with like Captain Charisma, walking around with your fake smile, acting like you could rap just because you watched 8 Mile. It's so good, man. But yeah, so we learned early on Eddie Guerrero's got number 1. No wonder he wanted to get rid of it. Flair, by the way, would have number 30. This would become a trend starting this year, by the way, where the first 2 guys we saw draw would always have 1 and 30.
Yep.
Because the next year it would continue, but we'll get into that in part 2. So Angle lost his title match, and then he bullied Nunzio backstage to hand him his number, and Nunzio gives it up. So Angle's in the Rumble now. Again, Benoit gets number 2. He was number 1 last year. Now he's number 2. Daniel Puder comes in at number 3, cuts a promo that was not planned. And this was right after he did the whole Angle with Angle.
Yep.
When he put him in the key lock.
Yep.
And now he cuts a promo that he's going to be the first tough enough guy to win, and this is all a joke, and he's going to prove it. So Hardcore Holly, now I never confirmed this, but I've always heard the long-standing rumor Hardcore Holly was supposed to come out at like number 20 something. Hardcore Holly comes out at number 4.
Yep.
And like I said, I've heard that was changed. That was not the original plan for Holly. Holly comes out, and Benoit, Eddie, and Hardcore just beat the tar out of Daniel Puder. They bust his chest open, chopping him like crazy, making him cry like a little girl. Hardcore Holly gives him a stiff kick right into the groin, and then picks him up, gives him the Alabama slam, and throws him over the top.
I heard the same thing. I heard,
Puder was never seen on television again, and he sued the WWE. So he got paid to stay home and never work because he had a contract.
Yeah. No. Well, and the thing is that he went into business for himself. That's
and they gave him business right back.
Yeah.
But
you don't.
If you want to see a stiff freaking kid get a stiff job from some of the legends, watch that.
Oh yeah.
Watch what happened there.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's good stuff.
And for me, I was happy with that. I was happy with that. So he deserved it.
Yes, indeed, I agree. But so the theme here was West Side Rumble because it was Raw versus SmackDown instead of the Sharks versus the Jets. So Raw and SmackDown kind of, Taz is driving me nuts. Taz is super annoying on commentary all through this. Like, why not a SmackDown guy? Hey, why is the SmackDown guy hitting a SmackDown guy? Because it's every man for himself, Taz. Shut up.
Exactly.
And stop saying SmackDown every second. Man, I want SmackDown. The guy went, oh, where's all the SmackDown guys at? Dude, be happy that the Raw guys are coming out. I mean, SmackDown guys got later numbers. Shut up.
Exactly.
It's all through this. And by the way, every Rumble after this, too. Taz is like this. It's so annoying. But, so Simon Dean comes out. Oh, wait, before Simon Dean, actually. So we get Raw and SmackDowns in there, and there's like a bunch of guys from Raw and a bunch of guys from SmackDown. They're all battling each other. And then Muhammad Hassan's music hits. And all the Raw and SmackDown guys just stop and watch Hassan get in the ring, and all of them team up together and beat the crap out of Hassan. And then they lift him up on all of their shoulders and toss him out of the ring. It's really funny. But then Simon Dean comes out. Man, I feel bad for Nova. What a great wrestler. And he gets this horrible character, but
Mhm.
he's doing his workout outside, and even JR's like, look at this idiot. He had
Mhm.
all night to train and work out, and he waits until the match. But then Shawn Michaels comes out, eliminates Simon Dean immediately, and
Yep.
then mocks him working out. And then Kurt Angle comes out and gets eliminated by Shawn Michaels' super kick, gets back in the ring, eliminates Shawn Michaels, beats the crap out of Shawn Michaels, busts him open, puts him in an ankle lock, and boom, we got our build to one of the best matches of all time at WrestleMania.
Mhm.
Ric Flair, why was he so mad that he stole his number? He's got number 30, like I said, and he comes in and doesn't win. And then we got Batista and John Cena. Um, Batista is working. I don't remember if this was when it was or not, so I didn't actually write it down. There was one Rumble. I don't remember if it was this one where Batista and Flair are working together, and then Flair tries to turn on Batista and gets thrown out. I don't remember if it was this one. I think it was either this one or '03. I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, Vince comes out because Batista and John Cena both get eliminated at the exact same time. Oh no, we're here again. Although this time, unlike '94, it was not planned. It was an accident. Batista was supposed to hold the ropes. Cena was supposed to go out, and Batista was supposed to stay in. They both go out at the same time. Vince comes out, jumps in the ring, hits his knees on the metal bracket of the ring, and tears both his quads. Tries to stand up, can't. He's sitting there, and credit to him, he's not crying, but he is holding back pain. He can't even talk, to the point where Howard Finkel makes an announcement by order of the chairman. We never heard the chairman talk, and these two are going to restart. So they get in, they restart, and Batista wins the match
Mhm.
with number 28. And that's the first time. And I'll mention that because in part 2, you'll hear about something else.
Yep.
Anything to add to that?
Oh, you're good, brother. You're good. All things you said.
2 things I'm going to add to this part is that John, who, if he's still listening, yes, I told him I would mention this. He wants to see eventually a guy get eliminated from a low blow. Like, just have a guy get hit so hard in the groin that it literally launches the guy over the top rope.
Yep. That would work.
I think that'd be interesting. You know?
No, I agree.
My take on how to have the ultimate win, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know how guys keep eliminating themselves, like each other, and there keeps being a moment where the ring's empty?
Yep.
What if they do that and the only guy left to come out is number 30?
Yep.
So he automatically wins the match.
Exactly.
And then it's literally the luck of the draw. Number 30 comes out and he's already got the win. Whoever number 30 is won the match. And then the kicker is make it a guy that would never win the Rumble. Like, I know he's not there anymore, but a Gilbert type guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody that would never win the Royal Rumble.
James Ellsworth. Make James
Yeah,
Ellsworth.
there you go. James Ellsworth would work too in this role. But make it somebody that would absolutely never win the Royal Rumble. And now they've won the Royal Rumble. And they're like praising that I won the Royal Rumble. You didn't really win. And you can do all kinds of things with the storyline.
Exactly.
It's something different. It's never been seen. Make it happen.
You know, they could do it, and then they could do an interview with James Ellsworth, and he could say something like, "And now you know that this is proof that any man with 2 hands has a fighting chance." You know, like
right.
like
Anybody can win the Royal Rumble. I just proved it.
Exactly.
But that's gonna do it for part 1. Next week we will be back with 2006 through 2020 and our best and worst of lists. So make sure you tune into that. We want to thank you for joining us on the podcast this week for part 1 of our Royal Rumble conversation. I'm Big Time Jimmy Larson. He's CT Bishop. And again, return next week for part 2 to see what's going down.